What's up, everybody? Excited to be here. Big show, MMA Junkie Radio. George, you fired up?
I am fired up. Sorry, I was putting out a fire. I was waiting for some sort of a countdown or whatever. But,
hmm
folks, we put this show together at the last minute. It's a live show. This is us doing our podcast, but doing it live here on YouTube and on Facebook. So, hey, we're just going to have fun. It's, how can I tell you? It's a celebration, I guess, of the long road that we've had from April 11th of 2007 to today, which is actually my birthday. Shameless plug, I guess. September 26th of 2024. So that's what 17 and a half years that it's taken for us to get to 3,500 episodes. And so I didn't want to just do the regular podcast. I wanted to do something, kind of talk to our old school friends, actually friends, colleagues, callers, anybody's welcome to chime in via the chat. A lot of the guests that are going to come in have been given a link to pop in and say hello. And Frank Trigg told me he doesn't use anything but Safari, so I don't know if he'll be able to join us.
hmm That
Because
sounds like a
Chrome is
very
what you
Frank
need,
trick.
right?
I think you can do Safari, but that's a very Frank Trigg thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was trying to put out, and Goze had to come into the rescue and start the show. But it is our 3500 show. And of course, if there's news to discuss, we will get into it. Last week was kind of a soft week. And what do we call it? A non-week? I don't know. Soft on the schedule. And so really, like, in terms of recapping like events or anything like that, we'd almost have to go back to the last few events that have taken place, just to keep on going with some of those storylines. And of course, we're getting close to a new a pay-per-view. Of course, the fight nights are littered throughout the year. I know there's some big fights happening in Paris this weekend, but then we also have UFC 307 coming up. We actually just talked to Kayla Harrison yesterday, and she's fired up, and she's got to go all the way to 135 because she's leaving no stone unturned. She wants to be the substitute in case Juliana Pena or Raquel Pennington stumble getting to the finish
hmm
line. It's tough to make that championship weight. Sometimes that pound has nicked a few fights in the past. So, but she seemed pretty pumped up, and actually, she probably has the more difficult cuts out of anyone.
Let me tell you something. I actually am not the biggest fan of that scenario, depending on who the fighter is. I just feel like there is so much at stake, especially with somebody like Akela Harrison, who, when you think about what she's done on the Olympic level, and then to come over in MMA and win a title over at the PFL, and then come over here and want to do that, that just seems like so much to gamble on being second choice, at the last second, not preparing the entire time for one opponent. To me, that I know that the reward is very big, but trust me, if MMA were like that, people we'd be signing fights the week of, and they'd just be fighting, right? Like there's something to training for somebody for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever you want it to be. I don't know that I would ever want my fighter to just jump in there and just because that opportunity is there, like I've never really been too big of a fan for that. For that doesn't apply for everyone. I'm just saying certain people have this trajectory where I wouldn't want to risk it all on just that one moment. Now, you could say that her opponent would feel the same way, right? She's not prepared either, but she's got the belt. So I don't know. Never been a big fan of that, but I commend her for being willing to step in and do that.
Most definitely, and she seems like she's the least worried about it. Like whoever it may be, bring one, bring them all. I'll fight them all on the same day. You know how we kind of hear that all the time. Like I'll put the gloves back on right now and fight. I think Canelo's famous for saying that when he
hmm
wins fights, and then they ask him what he wants to do next. But Kayla really does look like, hey, whatever it takes, I will do it, and I'm gonna smash. Like she's just full of confidence. It's pretty cool to see, and it was fun talking to her. So check out that interview. I'm sure it's up on this fabulous YouTube channel that we have, youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. Let me go through some of those things as well. Hit the like and subscribe. The like button, what it does is it kind of triggers an algorithm which tells people, hey, something pretty badass is happening right now. more people should watch. And so I don't know, I guess it gets pushed to the forefront. So that's why you'll hear
Mhm.
other people on YouTube say it. I'm going to say it again. Hit the like button. The subscribe is just so that you have this awesome content courtesy of MMA Junkie Radio, MMA Junkie, excuse me, who has been around since 2006, one of the leading websites in covering mixed martial arts. And honestly, we're spreading our wings, right? We're how can I tell you? Doing a little bit of bare knuckle, right? Some
Ooh.
box, the submission grappling, like there's some big stuff happening, you know, featuring names from that participate in mixed martial arts. You'll see that the occasional hybrid fights, things like that. It's really, really cool. Subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, Goze.
Shut up. I know it's your birthday, but I have to be direct
You
because we just got a pretty cool message. Check your text. A very big name fighter just said, "What are we doing here? I want to be a part of this." Deal
Oh,
with
nice.
that, and I will read some of these comments that are coming in here because
All
there's a
right.
lot of them, and I want to make sure we get to them. So put out that fire while I do that. And yeah, look, a lot of congrats from people in here. Green Bandana, Don Piccolo, Beagle 47. These, actually some of these names that I'm looking at, Juan Lee, happy 3,500, happy birthday, George. Uh, Green Bandana says, love Kayla, future bantamweight champion. You know what, man? At first, I didn't know if she could do it, but the way she looked in that last fight and the improvement that she's making, I think she's on her way. Beastman, hi Goze. Skeletor sent me and said, all right, I like this dude because he's Beastman, and I loved He-Man growing up. That was one of my favorite cartoons. So I can talk to this dude about Snake Mountain and He-Man all day. Mike Bohn, one of our colleagues, one of the best to ever do it in our business. Congrats on
Goze.
3,500, boys.
He might be
Insane.
the best, man.
He's incredible. He's
He
just
is, dude. He's
very
got a
polished.
long run and he can do a lot of stuff. He's fucking
Right.
valuable. Go ahead.
Yeah. I love that guy. And I love to call him my colleague here at MMA Junkie. Billy247, nice to see some of the OGs in this chat. What he means by that, and you'll see some of the people in here, guys, if you're kind of new to our show, you might see old school tag. And what that means is our show initially started off as Tag Radio, Gorgeous George and Trigg. And that stands for Frank
Trigg and
Trigg.
Gorgeous George.
Trigg and Gorgeous George. And so you'll see that from time to time. And those are people that are saying, look, I've been here since the very, very beginning. And we really, really appreciate them. Our managing editor here, Simon Samano. What a run, fellas. Congratulations, both of you OGs of this shit. I'm starting to realize, George, OG means old, huh? That's what I'm starting to.
Yeah, you got to take a
Yeah.
little bit of that for sure.
But yeah, I remember meeting Simon for the first time and just kind of gelling with him, just thinking, hey, this is a really nice guy, a really cool guy. And I'm glad that, um, look, we're a big staff here at MMA Junkie, and we help out the editorial. They help us out. Like we're just a machine at this point, but we can't do that without that guy at the helm, and he just makes things. We always feel like anytime we have ideas about our show or the direction that we want to take it or new ideas, he's just open to doing that, and we really appreciate that. Can't do that. Can't be here today without our colleagues. Cold Coffee, Abbey Kamikaze, he's actually producing today's show, and
Goes, I'm gonna burn you. You burned me for my birthday and told me to shut. You froze. You forgot Abby's last name. He went
Subhan.
Abbey Kamikaze.
Well, because I couldn't
Subhan.
remember. I couldn't remember the kamikaze part because we're used to saying kamikaze on the ones and two. So, but I'll
So
take
Goes
that.
and I've been throwing each other under the bus for 17 and a half years, and if I get a chance, I'll do it. He froze right now. He went from Abbey, and you know what? I do it all the time because sometimes I'm in NFL mode. We got this NFL Survivor. Sometimes I'd be in fantasy football, and then all of a sudden they go, "Who do you like for fight night?" Like, oh my god, who's headlining again? You have to like just compartmentalize and get into MMA mode, then in family mode, then in popular TV series. It's horrible, but I do want to say, Goes, I've honestly almost tried to scrub it out of my mind that it was ever Trigg and Gorgeous George. It was Trigg and George and Goze, because you were there from day one. And I know that at first you kind of almost just wanted to take a back roll because you had been doing the MySpace thing and just kind of hanging back. But the minute we heard you on the mic, we just knew you had to talk and you just had to be a part of the show. So
That was my first rule when we started the show. Was I said I'll do it, but I don't want to say a goddamn thing. and
Okay.
that all changed after episode 1.
Well, guess who wants to say a goddamn thing? Ben Rothwell's our first guest. Big Ben Rothwell. All the way from knowing him the IFL days, right? And then through Affliction, and then through eventually the UFC, now BKFC. Might be the baddest man over there at the BKFC. Hopefully I see him wearing gold soon. How are you, Big Ben?
I'm doing great. Happy 3,500th episode. Damn,
Thank you,
what an
sir.
accomplishment.
You got a nice crib, man.
It's
I
a
like
little place. It works. It's good. It's paid
Yeah,
off.
no, it's very wholesome, and you got your family. It's growing, but it looks really, really cool. And I always tell myself, if I ever go to Chicago, I'm gonna save half a day to visit your gym. Don't worry, I'm not a creepy stalker guy. I'm not gonna go to your house, but maybe to go to your gym and check that out, because I know you guys are about like 90 minutes away from the Windy City, right?
Yeah, you gotta. Not even. It's like from O'Hare. If you take O'Hare as the airport, I'm like 45 minutes away. Right up north, right across the border in Kenosha, and you get to come and see the new gym that's about to open beginning of December. So pretty exciting stuff. Got myself my first commercial property, and we're rocking.
Well, tell us about the gym real quick, because this isn't some formal interview, unless you got something to break regarding BKFC or whatever. But tell us about the gym first, and then we'll get to BKFC.
Yeah, so right after my last one in April, I had my eye on this property. We were going back and forth. I had an accepted offer in January, and then the things kind of fell through all the way in March, and then he put it back on the market for a month, and I came back after the fight, and we ended up closing on the property in the middle of May and started construction July 1st, and hopefully I'm going to have it ready by December 1st. I spread that out to show everybody the time frame that started in January. Hopefully this place is done December 1st. It's been quite the journey, but it's an awesome property right off the interstate. Gets about 100,000 views a day. So pretty excited.
Nice.
In my opinion, I'm going to have one of the nicest, if not the nicest, combat sports facility in the state of Wisconsin.
Ben, let me ask you something. Because
Love
your career has just spread out over a long period of time and just different organizations, was there ever a moment or a decision that you had to make where, had you gone the other way, it could have just completely changed your life, whether that's in a bad way or a good way? But do you remember one of those decisions that you had to make that really impacted your life?
I'm not sure it's so much on me, or maybe the coaching in high school. I think I had everything there to go pro in football. Like, I was running somewhere around a 4.5 40 I was about 240 pounds. So I think I had all the ingredients to be legit, get a scholarship, go on, become a legit football player. But the coaching just made decisions that just weren't going to be good for me. And their decisions made my decisions go in a different route. And by the end, when it was all said and done with, I was pretty much lucky I graduated high school, because I really had a rough time in high school, and a lot of that anguish and stuff pushed me into fighting. And I always say it, mixed martial arts saved my life, because I was on a pretty bad road. And regardless of not achieving all my goals that I look to achieve in mixed martial arts, it still has given me a wonderful life. I got to see parts of this world that no way would have been possible if it wasn't for mixed martial arts and combat sports in general. All the friends I get to make, the Mandalay Bay sweet parties I got to attend to, all the live events, and all just the fans. The at this point in time, just some crazy thousands of fans that I've got to meet and sign autographs and just hear stories about it. It's been an awesome journey, and gold isn't completely out of the mix, man. I got told last night by the head brass of BKFC that I can't give you specifics, but it sounds like, yes, a heavyweight title is very much in the horizon. So
2024?
It was going to be, and now it sounds like very, very, very early 2025.
Well, tell them to get their act together, because you haven't fought since April. You smashed that in that fight, right? And they got a guy that's massive, has the look, can talk smack, and has been a true company man. Feature this guy, BKFC.
Hey, they're got it, man. The people in the company are really pushing for me, and I love all of them, and I really love the company, and things are headed there. You know, I understand they do things that sometimes you don't always understand, and then it gets released, and then you understand it, and then it makes sense. And you know, credit to them, man. The amazing things they've done in a short period of time. So this event is really, really going to be something special, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. And I think it's going to be something. So I hope you guys can make it.
Will we need a plane ticket, or will it be driving distance? Will we need a passport? Give us some.
You can drive it. It'll be. I think it's driving distance in the United States.
Oh.
I hope so.
Because they have been in California lately.
They're going big and international too. So I'm not going to say it's completely off the table, but everything that I got is saying, yeah, it's probably at least within good flying distance, if not driving.
Well, we need a jacket. Will it be cold?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
Not Wisconsin. I got to win the title, and then they're going to come to Wisconsin. So.
Because yeah, you said early 2025, man. It gets brutal in the Midwest and the Northeast. So I'm trying to kind of connect some dots here. Being nosy, of course, as I always am, but
I don't think it'll be Las Vegas or California.
Okay. Here's my last question. Will you need to go 30 days early to acclimate to an altitude of any sorts?
I think I can safely tell you no.
Okay.
Without telling you too much.
That sounds like possible, like New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey goes there.
It's looking to be the biggest event they've ever had. So pretty exciting.
Okay. When David Feldman says things like that, he means it, dude. He don't mess around.
Yeah. So I got a little bit more that I know, so I'm just excited. He said, put out some teasers. There they are. So here we go. Looking forward to it.
Do you wish you could have done this earlier, BKFC, or was the path right for the time you put into MMA and then now going and finishing your career as a combat sports athlete and bare knuckle?
You know, there's that, man, wish I would have did this differently. Wish I had won that fight. Wish I had made different decisions in my life. You know, I have a whole list of failures throughout my life. I have accomplishments that got me to where I'm at. And it all makes me who I am. So it's just, that's our life. If any of those things would have been changed, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So it's better to just take life experience the way you have it and look at all the positives. You know, yeah, those things happen, but I got through it. I'm here. I have a wonderful family, a healthy family. I have the material things. You know, I have a lot to be thankful for, is really what it comes down to. And the BKFC happened when it happened. And, man, did they have their own adventure of everything they had to go through and everybody telling them no and they were never going to make it. Now, I think we can safely say we're one of the top combat sports going right now. And it's only getting bigger. It's only getting better all the time. International. I've always known that's the secret about combat sports. To be successful, everyone around the world loves it. It's not just a United States sport. You know, fighting is loved around the world, and we get a lot of views in different countries, and they're throwing events in different countries. I think it's a big deal for our growth. And that's it, man. This is an international sport. This is something the whole world can get behind, and what a cool thing that is. I like making fans that are all around the world, all shapes, all colors, all religions. I don't care. I'm fighting to fucking entertain. And that's what.
Well, then start working on that Kenosha dance, because that made a lot of fans back in the day. You need to bring the 2.0 version of BKFC. But let me just say this on behalf of BKFC. I went to my first BKFC show in Temecula. It was like kind of like their fight night version. Smaller. It was a smaller area of fighting. What do you guys call it again? The pit or whatever. What's your ring? What do you guys call it?
I think it's still. I need to come up with a good nickname for it, because the announcer calls it the squared circle.
Yeah, thing.
That's his name for it.
This one was smaller at a fight night. It was in Temecula.
They want fights, man.
It was raw. It was raw and violent, and the fans. It's like people brought fangs. They were oozing like, rah, like it was. I was sitting there going, man, this is crazy, because you could hear the flesh connecting, and you could just see the fans, going nuts, and then the cuts and shit, man. It was really, really good. I just remember going, wow. Now then they told me the area of fighting is bigger on TV because we use a bigger one, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But still, that was nutty in person. And let me tell you something. I'll say it like this. I know Dave Feldman had meetings with Dana White. I think Dana should have done more to be a part of this. I don't know if he could have ever invested in the whole power slap thing, because this is nuts, man.
Yeah, it's cool. And like, I love everything you said. Seeing it live changes everything. This is unlike boxing and MMA. It's like you said, the visual, seeing knockouts and seeing action is cool. It's the sound. It's you hear it. And it's not like anything else. And man, when I was in Denver and I had that 3-round fight with Copeland, all the shots I landed, dude, most of the crowd was on their feet for the last 2 rounds of the fight. So it's something special, man. And it's a fan-friendly sport, and that's what's cool about it.
Dude, there's people that are like this, ooh, and then they're looking out of one eye, right? And they're kind of pretending they're not looking. But man, it is nuts. You got to go to one of these. Any combat sports fan that's never been, and Big Ben will be fighting for a title, it sounds like, in early 2025. And Big Ben, and he's opening his gym in 2024. We'll have you on before that so we can kind of get some more deets on both things. They're big in your life, the new gym and your title fight later on this year. But thanks for joining us here today for our 35th.
Yeah, I'll get off. You guys probably got a lot to do today, but real quick from you guys, what's something we can show while I'm on? 3,500. What do you got? What is it? What do you got to tell the people, man? MMA Junkie Nation. What's something while I'm on I get to share with you guys?
I'll let Goze go first.
Something about you, because I do have.
No, I don't know. Something about your fucking life.
Just
to get to here.
The one thing that we appreciate about our jobs, and because we've been doing it so long, people were born NFL fans with an NFL history and MLB and the history and all that. Our sport didn't have much of a history, so we hold it dear to our heart, and that's why we protect it. And anybody that covers the sport should feel the exact same way, because we helped build a sport from our side. You guys did what you did in the cage. We did what we did outside of the cage. So to be able to look back and say we helped build a sport is something you can never take away from a person. That feels so good.
Amen.
Yeah, for me, I'll just say it's like a pyramid, right? And the fighters are the ones that are building the majority. It's your guys' blood, sweat, and tears. But man, if we just got to put one brick, we're happy. We contributed in some way, giving you guys an opportunity to promote yourselves, for people to realize just how great a person you can be, even though you can get down and get violent when it's the 15, 10, 25 minutes that you've been signed, to fight. The rest of the time, you're decent human beings, and we always wanted to shed that. So yeah, and it's been a long journey, but it's been a fun one. Thanks again, so man. We got to roll, man. All right, see you, buddy. Love you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, later. All right, folks, from one legend to another one. Look at this guy, Captain America, the natural, Randy Couture, who has given so much of the sport as a fighter and now as an excellent broadcaster over at PFL. How you doing, Randy? Good to see you, man.
Doing good. Great to see you guys. Congratulations on 3,500 shows. That is absolutely amazing, man.
Thank you.
I love what you were just saying with Ben. I think you're absolutely right. When I started this sport, UFC 13 was my very first fight. The only outlet was the Full Contact Fighter magazine, which was a newspaper that had a glossy cover, but the rest of it was just like a newspaper. And Joel Gold, he was really the only media outlet that was covering this sport back then. And to have guys like you who have integrity and want to represent the sport in a positive way and give us an outlet to show the fans who we really are is hugely important. You guys have been an instrumental part of the growth of Xtreme Couture and this sport, and I can't thank you guys enough. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. That means a ton. And remember the label of cockfighting?
Yeah.
we had to kind of shed that. We had to shed that it wasn't just like a glorified street fight. You know what I mean? And now it's actually a beautiful thing to watch, especially when you get to the top level, the championships, the title challengers. It's actually just high-speed human chess. I think is something we put on it like a few years ago. Well, quite a few years ago as well. But we all had to kind of band together to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. High tide raises all ships, and we had to sway people's minds and go against the narrative. They wanted to call us freaks and that we were somehow criminals, and it was human cockfighting and the gladiator games all over again and all this stuff. And we had to prove them wrong. We had to show them that we ran towards regulation. We wanted to be considered a legitimate sport, and this was most of our opportunity to be professional athletes. And so we all had to do this together. There's no doubt about that.
Goze?
I just remember of Randy, one of our earliest shows. This was back when it was UFC versus Pride, all that talk, and we had you on, and then we had Vanderlei Silva in the back room, and he came in, and they came on at the same time, and I remember just kind of looking at George like, holy shit, like this is the equivalent, because our father was watching. Our father's a huge boxing fan, and I was like, this is the equivalent of having Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier in the same room right now. And it was so much fun to see you guys just bounce ideas off of each other, but you had this respect. Even though he was in Pride, you guys had this respect for each other, but you also had this look where you were looking at each other like, all right, I'm sizing you up a little bit. It was so much fun. The early days of our show was so much fun, and just going, allowing us to go through Xtreme Couture. I don't know if you remember this, but I mean, we were all goofballs back. We would give your fighters electric pens that would shock them, and they'd run around shocking other people. Like, it was kind of chaotic in that sense. Now I think we're a little bit more buttoned up, but it was a fun time. And just to see the people that would go through your gym, people, if you don't understand what a Shark Tank is, that's where you get a new fighter every round. And I think I saw Frank Trigg go through one time like Vanderlei Silva, Forrest Griffin, Heath Herring, you. I mean, I think at the end they might have gave him like Jair on, and he was like, "Thank you," like, I mean, it was just a beat down left and right. The talent that was in that gym, and I know we just lost Randy, we'll probably come back, but the talent that was in that gym at that time was insane. And one thing that I do remember, Randy, about the early days is hanging out with Trigg, just doing whatever, we're just eating at lunch or something, and he'll go, oh, I got the text. And it was like you, or it was Frank Mir, and you guys would just say, want to train? And you would meet somewhere like at JSEC, and everybody was so excited to learn from everyone else, because not everybody had the kickboxing that another fighter had, or the jiu-jitsu that Frank Mir had. And that was just you guys learning from each other. And I got to see those training sessions and think, this is Marvin Eastman was part of that too. It was so much fun to see you guys go through all that. And now look where we're at. Look at your gym. You have scheduled classes now. It's no longer a text, hey, want to meet?
Yeah. That first 2 years in Vegas, I was using the set. Basically, they gave me keys to the set for the Ultimate Fighter. And every time a new show season would come on, we'd have to go find someplace else to train. And JSEC was a great place. John Wood's place was another place we would end up. And that's what led me ultimately to saying, the heck with this, man. I got to open my own gym again. I got to get back in the gym business. And Xtreme Couture came out of that time, that first 2 years from 05 to 07 in Vegas. And you guys were part of that journey. There were some crazy workouts. I remember Orlovsky coming in. There were a lot of great guys that were
Kimbo, Jacare, Mario Sperry, Vitor Belfort. I mean, it was jam-packed, man. It was quite the gym with a lot of characters, a lot of knowledge. But yeah, it was really, really cool. I want to ask you, Randy, real quick, do you feel like the younger generation has also helped the sport grow the way you guys did, or are they maybe just enjoying the fruits of your labor, maybe?
I think
because I think everyone should give back,
Well, yeah, and I think the younger athletes are giving back. There's this whole new talented group of guys that saw us and said, that's what we want to do. They didn't care about a black belt in anything. They wanted to be a genuine mixed martial artist and a well-rounded fighter. And look at the talent level that we're seeing now because of that. So we had to legitimize the sport, but then they had to take the sport and they hybridized it. They added all these crazy tactics and technique and ran towards the science of athletics, and have elevated the game in our sport to the point now where we're this crazy new hybrid combative sport. What grew out of everybody going out to prove that their martial arts style was the best turned into what we have now. And those younger athletes that saw us trying to legitimize the sport took that mantle and ran with it. And we've come a long, long way because of them.
Some big shows coming up for PFL. You got first the pay-per-view and then the finals. In the pay-per-view, what will be your thoughts when you see a 6'8" guy and a 6'4" guy competing in the same division for the same type of gold as you did? You had to figure puzzles out. These guys are more about collisions.
Yeah, well, those are two giant guys that are going to collide for sure. Obviously, faced a few of those big monsters, and it's problem solving at its finest. Each guy poses a set of problems, and you got to figure out the combination to solve those problems. Francis has got to figure out how to solve the problem of a 6'8" athletic giant like Renan Ferreira, and that's not an easy task. But Francis is up to the challenge. It's going to be a very, very interesting fight. There's no guy in the sport that hits harder than Francis right now. So I love that matchup. I think Pacheco and I just lost her name for crying out loud. Christina Cyborg is going to be an amazing fight too, and that's going to be another slugfest. There is no halfway with either one of those two. They're going to go toe to toe and sling leather and see who's the last one standing. That's going to be exciting.
Arguably, and I know a lot of people are going to give me shit, and I know that you might fist bump me, but you work for the company. But I'm telling you, that Ngannou Renan Ferreira fight, I'm looking forward to it more than Jones and Miocic. Respect to those guys and what they've done, but right now, the time is now. Man, I'm really, really pumped to see the Predator back after 2.5 years.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I mean, I'm very excited about that matchup. That whole card is coming together nicely. It's going to be really, really good. I'm happy and excited. I got picked up to commentate for that one too as well. So I'll be in Riyadh on the 19th of October for that big pay-per-view, and those giants collide.
Thanks for the time today, Randy. We really appreciate you joining us here on our 3500 show. And before these big events come up, we'll see if we can come on and preview those cards properly. But we really appreciate you jumping on today.
Man, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I'm headed out on an elk hunt this morning in Colorado, so I'm just getting all my ducks in a row and start that drive. But couldn't miss this opportunity to shine on you guys for all that you guys have contributed to our sport and our journey. We love you guys. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. We love you too, man. Thanks a lot. It means a lot. All right, folks. All right, from one legend to another. This is all about legends, man. The BMF, Jorge Masvidal, joins us here. What's going on, Jorge?
Chilling, my brother. Just got out of practice right now. Just hanging out. Talking to my boys' 35th anniversary.
Can you believe that?
How's the body feel?
Say it again.
How's the body feel? You know, like as you're working back into working the muscles that come along with jiu-jitsu and wrestling. It's not just boxing this time, right?
Definitely sore because the last 6 months was just straight boxing. So I'm laughing because, man, there's some days where I'm like, damn, I haven't been sore forever. And now I'm sore like everywhere, you know, and it's just from that grind of like wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And there's nights where I go to sleep and nothing hurts, but I just wake up like, damn, I miss this world. You know, it's a different world. It's the most strenuous freaking activity I've ever done. It's the most wear and tear on the body, but it's also, you know, it's every inch of it. I think I love it. I love the, you know, push my body in that direction every day.
Goze?
Is there one particular fighter you can point to in the gym that has really just embraced your comeback to MMA and has pushed you the hardest?
I mean, all of them. Everybody I shake hands and go with, they're all pushing me. You know, they're all freaking pushing me, man. But I got in some good quality rounds with Johnny, man, and Johnny's getting ready to scrap it. Fuck, he's on like another level right now. You know, he's hitting the gas pedal very hard, and he's giving
Johnny Eblen.
He's a real nightmare right now at the gym for everybody he's going with. You know, I'm never gonna be name dropping, but sorry guys. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys Johnny's going in there with, man, and he's putting in good work, man. He's gonna look good. I think this guy's gonna be a future UFC champion.
How have the talks with the UFC brass, you know, Dana, Hunter, even the matchmakers, were they excited to hear your name back? Because, you know, a lot of people, you're one of the biggest pay-per-view draws out there for the UFC. To have you back, especially with other fighters leaving, I'm sure they're very happy about that. What have they said about your comeback?
Good news, good stuff with him here right now, my brothers. Yeah. Good stuff coming.
All right. How soon?
News very soon. I don't know yet. I don't know.
Drop a hint. It's our 3500 show. Drop a hint. You're not going to get in trouble. Like 3-piece in a soda, 2 old friends mixing it up again. Somebody's going to need a passport from Ireland to fight me. Like what's going on?
There's a lot of options on the freaking table. We haven't narrowed down a specific one yet. Kind of waiting for a couple things to go here and fall there. And then I'm supposed to get big word, brother. Big word.
2024?
Big news. I'll tell you right now, between me and you, because just me and my boys right here, it'd be the biggest news of the year, probably.
Damn, man, why you gotta leave us
For a
hanging
fact,
like
for a
that?
fact.
Now my mind's going in circles.
It'd be a tidal wave like this. Fucking the news, the headlines, only reading this for a couple months. Everybody fucking hates me again because all they see is my name online. The usual, man. So we're
Hey,
waiting.
you said tidal wave or title wave?
I said one of those waves.
Hey, this guy should headline the new 165-pound division or something like that, right?
I'd love to see that.
I've always said they should bring what's called the super lightweight division, right? And do 55, 65, 75. I just felt like there was a lot of fighters that were in between 70 and 55, and I think that shit could have blossomed a long time ago.
Are they talking about putting up a division like this now?
No, I'm just saying that exists. ABC actually has MMA divisions that are 165, but Dana won't give into it. But he's got a lot of fighters that over the years could have benefited from either their undersized 170 guys or their oversized 155 guys.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's a big gap there. And I feel like most of the population on Earth walk between like, they're either 145 pounders or like 170 pounders, because the rest are like bigger dudes that are like in pro sports a lot of the times in other sports. So the majority of the land is like in those weights, and that's why I think those weights are so deep, man. There's just so much talent at like 155, 170, 145 are usually some of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound, in my opinion.
When will the fight be? In this year or next year?
That's what I'm hearing. I can't say no further more.
You said next though?
Next year.
Next year. Okay. All right, Jorge. Well, I know we pulled you out of sparring, man, but it means a lot for you to drop in on our 3500 show.
You didn't pull me out of sparring, brother.
We appreciate
I'm gonna go right in. I'm gonna go right in there right now.
We've loved seeing your journey all the way from that Strikeforce card at the Playboy Mansion through everything you did, Strikeforce, that one fight at Bellator, UFC, and now you're a promoter of your own thing, man. That's pretty crazy.
Huh?
It is, dude. We're happy for your success. I'm glad you got to back to Peru too, man.
Oh yeah, Peru was a fucking ball, man. That was a ball, man.
Well, we'll have a proper chat when the tidal wave hits, all right? And then you can tell us all about it.
Sir, yes, sirs, man. God bless to all the listeners and you two motherfuckers for always holding it down, being non-biased, just saying the truth. Love you guys always, man.
Love you too, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, Goze. It doesn't stop. Another legend. This guy fought, commentated, and now he's a referee. Aside from all the stuff that he's doing in the entertainment business, our old pal who got us started on this journey, Twinkle Toes, Frank Trigg. How are you, Trigg? You look great, man. I love them shades.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out my camera.
I'm very upset right now. He looks.
I don't do many of these interviews anymore, so I never know where my camera is. It was like over here, now it's over here. Like,
why do you look the way you did day one, and we look old?
Because I've always been old. I've been telling you guys. Oh, you're a legend. That just means old guy. Old G just stands for old guy. That's all it stands for. Like I've been telling you this since the beginning. You just now finally caught on.
Hey, now that you got so many years,
a little hair for men. That's all you need. You're good. Just a little hair.
Everybody will figure out that riddle. No,
well, yeah. I mean, obviously, but it's the new people that won't know the game. That's the joke. It's trying to meet new people.
Then I'll be like extra dark. I'll look all weird, man, like a ghastly or something.
Dark eyebrows, dark hair.
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy.
Hey, Trigg, you got to high levels in fighting, and then as a commentator, you're widely respected. You commentated on some big cards, and now you got quite a few years under your belt as a ref. How would you rank them 1, 2, 3 as far as like you feeling like this? I impacted the sport, because that's very, very. It's quite an accomplishment for you to impact the sport like that. It means a lot to a lot of people.
I don't really have that big of an impact, to be honest with you. It's really now with the level that the game has come to. Unless you're a guy that's been watching since the early 2000s, you have no idea who I am. And because of my entertainment contracts and my schedule, I don't ref as much. Like this year, I didn't ref as much as I usually do because I was gone for 7 months. I was on a project. I was on 3 projects for 7 months. I was gone. I was in Fort Worth and Philadelphia for that whole time. So I couldn't get back to ref in California. So I don't ref as much. There's really not. I really don't have that much of an influence anymore in MMA. I really don't. I mean, unless you're old and remember me,
Well,
then that's it.
here's how I look at it. I thought you were one of the best heels when you first came aboard. So you've impacted anyone that's ever wanted
Well,
to kind
no.
of go.
Correct yourself. I was the best heel when I came aboard because
For sure.
I changed how the heel game was played. I stole
sure.
it from Hulk Hogan and Muhammad Ali, who were my inspirations as I was a kid. I stole it and put it in, but then you got Chael Sonnen, who made it better, and now Conor McGregor has taken it over and changed the entire game. Like it's not even the same. Like I always talk
So
about.
that's a residual. See what I'm saying? That's a residual that you left that others used part of your playbook, you know, and it's obviously made a lot of people a lot of money. It's gotten people interested in fighting. And then you were one of the first fighters that also started commentating. And now we have a lot of those, you know what I'm saying? So the impact's been there, man.
Yeah, it's been but it's like I said, it's older. It's like you guys remember. You know, the old tag radio guys remember. But the new guys now, like I'll go ref, like I'll ref an event. Like I just did PFL. Was it PFL? No, well, it's Bellator. Sorry, it's Bellator. Same company. And the backstage folks for Bellator, they kind of remember me from being there, from reffing Bellator from before. The crowd had no clue who I was when I got up there. Like they had they announced my name, third man in the boot. Like they had no clue. You know, when Michael Hall not mentioned it, there was nobody knows. They don't care. Like it's the thing with MMA. It's right now. What's happening right now? What's happening with Masvidal right now? Like more people interested in Couture going elk hunting that he mentioned as he's walking out the door than anything else that he said. Like that, no one. Like we're very short-termed, immediate things. So unless you're doing something, Herzog, Beltran, Dean, Goddard. Unless you're doing something all the time on the big stages, people don't care. No one until you mess up. When you screw up, then they're going to pay attention, but no one really cares. It's just, and the only reason why I do it is because I got into it for fighter safety. I thought there was a big issue with reffing. So obviously, to go back to your original question, George, you're asking what was the better one of the three? Mm-hmm. Obviously, fighting was the best one because that's when you're athletic prime. That's when everything kind of works together. That's when you got a shot to talk. People putting a mic in front of you. People asking you questions. They want to know your opinion on other stuff. What's going on in the fight game. Once you're out of the fight game, it's gone. Remember when BJ Penn was out, then he came back, and he kept losing, and he couldn't get away. He couldn't leave. It's because you miss this. Mm-hmm. When you walk into a room, you miss the they're calling my name. Oh, sorry. I'm busy. I can't. I'm busy. You miss that. Obviously, you miss the crowd noise. You miss the people paying attention to you. So that's what happens at the end of it. So you move on, right? You move on to other things. I got lucky enough. I was able to commentate, which kept me in it. Especially in Japan, that really kept me. Rising kept me in it for a while. And then now with reffing, I'm in it a little bit. The guys that I fought against are now coaching. they got guys of their own now. It's like, it's funny. Like I fought Ray Cooper and I reffed his son, Ray Cooper. So it was like, this is, that's the combination though. The best by far was the reffing, was the fighting. And the reffing I'm here for fighter safety. I'm here to make sure that the next gen of guys don't do the stuff that I did. Don't care about brain trauma. Don't care about broken fingers. Don't care about shattered hands. Like, we're going to tape it up. We're going to go fight. This is what we're going to do. One hand, it makes the sport a little weird because the guys aren't as tough as we are.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they're way smarter and make way more money. So what's the real game?
I love seeing you and Shaolin and now Lieben and others contributing because it's probably tough to leave the biases. And I'm sure you guys probably remove yourself if a fight, impacts you in any way. But I was wrong. I thought maybe fighters and may not do as well. But just in watching Lieben recently, and like I say, you for many years, Shaolin, you guys do a great job, man. I'm glad you guys have done that.
People keep saying we should get more fighters in. It's financial. It's economic. If you're take the middle of the pack, take the middle of the guy on any fight, on any major fight, right? The middle guy, 15, 16 grand, right? 20 grand. Higher levels, you might be making 50 grand to fight. You're going to make $100 to ref for a night, to judge for a night. You're not doing that. I would be here for 45 minutes. I'd warm up. I'd fight. I'd be done in 15 minutes. I'd be backstage. I'm at the after party in 2.5 hours, and I made 50 grand. Now I have to get there at 2:30 for a 4:30 start, for the first fight to start at 4:30, and I'm there till 10 o'clock. Then we have the post fight. So I'm there till 10:30. I don't get home till 11:30. I made $100. Like, that's not. No one's going to jump in on that case. You really got to love it. Like, this is not. Our generation can do it. The Liebens, the Shaolins, the rest of the guys that they're attempting to do it. There's a couple other guys around the world right now just getting into the amateur level, trying to make the pro level that were my group. We do it because we actually make more money reffing than we did fighting. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
The guys now are like, I'm not taking. You'll never, ever see a guy like Conor McGregor, ever like Conor McGregor ref. Why the hell would he take the pay cut? He makes more money by being paid to show up for the fight than he would being able to ref the fight. So why would he take the pay cut? No one's going to do it. The era of the fighters coming in, that the high level fighters, the guys that fought in championships like Lieben, we're done. It's not happening anymore. It just doesn't make any sense until they raise the price of what they're going to pay for the refs, which they're not going to do because who pays that? The promotion. So what's the promotion going to do? The promotion's not going to come to your state, which means the state's not going to make any money, so they're never going to raise the price. It's just not. It doesn't make economic sense, right? It has to. It's money. This is all capitalist. It's all money. So
well, however many of you there are, whether it's 12, 24, 36, there's not many that have the name and the skills. And I've always said for many times, man, hopefully they keep raising that because I saw when the NFL refs went on strike and I thought, oh, they'll just bring up the college guys or a few guys out of retirement. Dude, it impacted. So we need to protect our referees, the good ones, pay them. You know,
look at all the refs. To my knowledge, everybody has a job. Everybody has a full-time job. Reffing is a side job. It's not our full-time job. It's a side job, which is why I didn't ref this much this year because I had to make a decision. Keep getting paid the money I get paid to work on Lioness, which is going to release on October 27th, that for a weekly, or dump that whole weekly to go get paid for one day to ref. The numbers don't equate, not to mention residuals, retirement, healthcare. I get all that over here. I don't get any of that over there. So it's like I got to make decisions for my life as well. So a lot of refs, like a lot of these refs have to take PTO time to go ref from their regular job. And I think it was, gosh darn it, it was either Haley or I can't remember. One of the refs was telling me he can no longer do any more Bellators when Bellator is still around. He's like, I can't do more Bellators. I go, why? He goes, I don't have any more PTO time. I can't leave until after I got to work on Friday to go. So you're only UFC now, essentially, is what you're telling me. He's like, yeah, that's all I can do. I can't do anything else because my job won't let me out. You're like, so this is a real issue because you have to look at it. Where's my real job? The one that pays the bills, right, is over here. It says I can't leave, so I'm stuck. You know, and that's the problem with reffing. It's always a side job. I mean, even Jack Reese, the best boxing official in the entire world. In California's got the top 5 best boxing officials in the entire world. Reese just happens to be one of the best. I say he's the best. He's my friend. I'm a little biased. He might be he's top 2. Okay. He's got another job. And he makes, I don't know what he made, 25,000 when he did the Wilder Fury fight at, it's now Crypto. It was Staples then, I think, but downtown LA. He made 25 grand for that one fight. 12 rounds, granted. Title fight, granted. Sold out on pay-per-view, granted. Get it. Same arena, same spot, same people. $2,400 MMA. Same thing. So there's no, it doesn't equate. It's financial, right? So a lot of us have to have other jobs. And as a result, who you think are the best refs are not the best refs. The best refs have best jobs and can't work all the time. So you don't get to see them repetitively. And they can't play the game of, I mean, geez, can you imagine if UFC loves you and wants you to ref all the time? Think about that. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday night, 42 weeks a year. The other 10 weeks, Saturday night. You're like, what do you do? Like, when do you see your family? When do you do this? You can't. Man, it's a love. The ref. You got to love it. You really got to be in the middle of it. And so it's, for me, I'm really proud of being a ref and being in the middle of it. But I'm also at the position at 52. I've got maybe 3-4 years left. I've got to stop.
Will you be doing more in 2025?
Probably not. I'll probably do less.
Okay.
I am working a lot. I am on 4 shows that come out in the next 30 days. Wolves comes out on Apple TV tomorrow with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Lioness comes out October 27th with Zoe Zidane, Morgan Freeman, and Nicole Kidman. Landman comes out November with Billy Bob Thornton and John
Damn.
Hamm. Skeleton Crew with Jude Law comes out Disney. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. I'm so sorry. I had this in my head.
Mhm.
And in November, something like that's the stuff that's coming out. Well, that stuff gets filmed. In the case of Skeleton Crew 2 years ago, it's another Disney show right after the Empire Falls. That was filmed 2 years ago to get that out. So next year, I could be tied up from April till September. I also could be unemployed from January until December.
But I mean,
Man,
like, let's say
one-
that you do get pulled away. Can't they just find another stunt double for Paul Giamatti? I mean, I don't understand.
No, Paul Giamatti's guy is amazing. Don't never use me for him. His guy is great. You chose the wrong guy to make a joke
Hey,
on. Paul
hey,
Giamatti's stunt double is amazing.
When you said you had to leave, did you have to go to a galaxy far, far away for what you
No,
were
I just
doing?
went to Disneyland.
Damn.
Hey, Trigg, listen, man, it's been fun 17 and a half years,
Yeah.
3,500
Congratulations,
episodes,
guys.
and
Like,
we
this
did
is-
about 500 with you, and
Yeah.
you gave us our start. We want to thank you like we always
Dude,
do
thank
when
you.
we leave these landmark numbers. Really, without you, we don't probably do this, and so you had a lot to do with it. Really, really are sincere and profound thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And I only did the first 20%. Everything, all your successes, way after me, way better than me. Like
No.
you guys have expanded.
No,
far
man, we
beyond
love being on with you, and we love you, man. So thanks for popping in
Thanks,
on the
guys.
show and hanging out with us today.
Hey,
course, my
before
pleasure.
he goes, can I share my favorite Frank Trigg thing
Is
from
it being
Tag?
passed out on the chair with the you pouring
The
vodka in my
dick on
mouth? The old
No,
house.
I drew a dick on the back of your head.
Yeah,
No, it's not. I'll make it real quick. He sent me a text message one time, and he goes, "Hey, Rockstar's on board. They're gonna leave something. Just put it in the house." When I came home, I could not see the garage door because they had stacked so many Rockstar cases. I had to lug that shit in by myself. It took me probably 2 hours, dude, to lug all that stuff into the house. And I
and
still
really had no
have
place to put it.
nowhere to put it, yeah. But thank you, Trigg, for all the time.
Thank you,
Oh
man.
yeah, always.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
guys.
popping in.
Congratulations,
All right.
man. Really, honestly, congratulations on the show. It's great. This is amazing. Glad you guys are still doing it.
Thank you, sir. Take care. We'll see you. All right, man. That's been a lot of fun. All right, who's next? Because honestly, I know that here we comes. Who is it?
Star power drop off.
What's going on, Nolan? No, I wanted junkies to come on. I wanted our colleagues to come on. Without you guys, the show just doesn't continue. You know what I'm saying? Because there's obviously an equation or a recipe to how all this works, content and synergy and working together. So it's great to have you on, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's always been a great thing that we've had. You guys have always been super great to me. And so definitely congratulations on 3,500 episodes. That's incredible. I don't know how many people can say they've done 3,500 of anything. So shout out to you guys. And yeah, super, super exciting. And you see everybody that's coming on here, how much respect they have for you. It's awesome, guys. I hope you're pretty proud of yourselves.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you very much. We appreciate, like, it's so much fun, in a way, kind of passing the baton to the next generation. And Nolan, you see what he's up for, journalist of the year. Just our staff, man. I could talk about how badass everybody is all day. You guys are amazing, and it's so much fun to work with you, Nolan. You're so easy to work with.
It's a second nomination, and this guy's headed to the top as well. He, obviously he's probably got how many, like six years under your belt, 5 years?
Yeah, about 5.5, coming up on 6. Yeah.
I was just praising Mike Bohn because he's got about 10 to 12 or so. I think he's one of the top in the game, if not the best. And man, I see you, on that same path with your context, your integrity. Everyone loves you, and now different parts of the website. It takes time. It's not something you just can do in a couple years, but you're doing it the right way, Nolan. You're not screwing anyone over. Your word means something. You know what I'm saying? So that's valuable to us, to Goze and I as colleagues, to the site. So you just keep doing your thing, bro.
I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, and just to peel back the curtain a little bit, I do appreciate, for people that don't know the inner workings of Junkie, like you guys have always been super helpful for me. Like Goze is the one that records a lot of my interviews, right? And so I always think of it ended up backfiring on him, his kindness a little bit. But when you were setting up that birthday call for him, and I told him George set me up to it, and he was like, a couple of years ago, he's like, can you tell Goze that you have an interview at like, I forget what it was, but it was something crazy, like 3 a.m. or something. I don't remember what time. Do you remember what time it was, Goze?
It was about 2 a.m., right? I think when,
Yeah, it
or
was
well,
like
no,
2 a.m. your time,
yeah,
which would have been
it
like
was
5
rough.
my time or something. And I was like, yeah, it's Israel Adesanya. You know, I tried to think of somebody that would be, it was like him and Costa or Whitaker or somebody like that fight week. Like, oh, like they can only do that time because of the time difference. And you were kind of like on the fence and you're like, you know what, man, let's do it. And so I didn't feel great going to bed that night, you know, lying, but I guess it ended up working out pretty well. But that goes to show you that even if it was a real interview that didn't have anything beneficial for Goze at the end of the rainbow, like he would have done it. So that's the kind of people we're dealing with here.
Thank you. Yeah, I've only been surprised 2 times in my life. And Nolan and George were responsible, along with my girlfriend, for one of them. Man, they got dirty when they did it too. They did me really dirty. They made me think I was interviewing Israel Adesanya by myself, and then within 5 minutes said, "Oh, it's actually his opponent." And again, do it by yourself with 5 minutes notice. So that was a rough night, but it definitely paid out.
Yeah, I was really glad that I didn't have to like be awake for when that whole thing was playing out, because you were texting me, you're like, are you here? Is anybody here? Like, where are you? And I just, when I woke up in the morning, I just saw the text, and George had obviously nailed it with what he did with you. So no, I appreciate you guys. You guys have always been great. And it's, you know, made me feel welcome from the time I came on. I think one of the first weeks that I was with Junkie was you guys were having your last show with Sirius, and you were like, oh, we have to have you on before the Sirius thing ends. So you guys had me on the last episode that you guys had on there, which I appreciated. I thought there would have been somebody, you could have had anybody on and you chose me. So again, setting the tone of what I was going to deal with for the last 5.5 years. So super congrats again, guys, on 3,500. It's awesome.
Hey, Nolan, real quick, if you had to guess, who do you think Masvidal was hinting towards? He said a tidal wave. I'm thinking either Leon Edwards or Conor McGregor. What are you thinking?
It's funny. I kind of got the Conor vibes, right? Like it's hard to read into things a little bit, but that was, if you ask me just as a fan, I don't have any knowledge of what's going on with him at all. Like that was, him saying that people are going to hate me and it's going to be big and it's going to steal all the headlines. I don't know. That would be what would jump into my brain, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be that. I think it's that.
Thanks for popping in, buddy. We got to move on, but we really appreciate you. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, you too, guys. Take care.
Wait, do you love us too? You didn't love us?
I don't think he loves us. This guy loves us. Eric Nicksick, the best MMA head coach right now at this moment. What's up, Eric? All the way from, can I say?
Yeah, tell him where I'm at.
He's in Paris, Goze, and he's not visiting our parents in Paris, California. He's in Paris, France.
Just eating croissants.
Oh, nice. Did you have to say it the funny way? Was it like croissant?
Croissant. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
How are things over there?
It's good, man. It's actually really, really good. To be honest with you, I'm glad I got out here. I've been with Francis for the last 10 days. We've been training a lot, but his overall morale, like just his energy, he's been at an all-time high, and it's just great, obviously, seeing where he's at, considering everything he's been going through in the last, 6 to 7 months, or shit, even back to the Joshua fight, So it's honestly the best I've seen him as far as like his enthusiasm, his morale, his energy levels have been.
Did he move back, or is this just something to isolate?
Just something different. It's obviously, it's kind of it's tough when you take us all out of Vegas, because we have our training partners, we have our gym, we have our schedule and our regiment. But I think for him, he wanted to come out here and kind of come back to his roots and train in a different location, but didn't want to go too far and go all the way to Riyadh and start training there right away. So this was kind of middle ground. Dewey's been out here for a while. Trip Hale, our strength and conditioning coach, has been out here with him. So that part is hard, man, when you do these camps outside of Las Vegas, because you pull a lot of people away from home. But this one's been different. It has a different connotation to it and a different meaning. So it's been nice, and it's been really just a small group of us. There's not a lot of people around, and it keeps everything kind of tight quarters.
Is this one kind of like your Rocky IV moment? Like your job as a coach, you are not just a coach. We've learned this through years of being around you. You're kind of like, you're a mentor, you're a psychologist at times. There's so much going on. This one feels like it's so personal on so many different levels. is this that moment, like, like we see in the movies for Francis? Do you consider it almost a make or break?
I wouldn't say it's a make or break, but I understand what you're meaning about the heaviness of the camp. Like you feel it, it's there, but we don't have to really express it or say it or speak about it. Like we understand the meaning of what this camp is for all of us, not only for our MMA career, but for our personal lives as well. And knowing why Francis is fighting and everything else. So it definitely has a different feeling than it did when we were fighting Stipe or Gone or something like that.
George had mentioned earlier in another previous interview, he thinks this fight is bigger than Stipe and John Jones. Do you guys feel that way? Because I think there's actually more riding here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, I just think that just with everything that's gone on in the last year for him, it's every moment, every fight is a big fight. And the one that's sitting in front of you is the biggest fight of your career. So we're not taking anybody lightly. We're not taking, Hennen lightly at all. The position that we're in to go fight for a world title is something that we've always taken a lot of pride in. And now this is sitting in front of us. So right now, this is the biggest fight of our career, and this is the one we're most focused on.
That dude is a specimen, but we've interviewed a lot of athletes that have been in great shape that have taken time away from our sport. Was there a lot of rust to shake off, or did he manage to still work on the different martial arts that encompass MMA while he was focusing on boxing?
I wouldn't say there was much rust, George. I think because, when he got back to Vegas, his intentions to coming back to Vegas weren't necessarily to prep for a MMA fight. I think it was mostly to kind of cope with the loss of his son and just be around the team and be around like-minded individuals and maybe to see if he had any interest in fighting again. And I think that sparked the love that he had for MMA. And anytime, even during his boxing career, like when he was boxing and getting ready for Tyson Fury, he was still coming in and training and do his MMA stuff. It wasn't as much. We might not have wrestled as much as we do now, but he still stayed active within the MMA realm. And I think that was important, not only for his growth, but also just for the fact of just keeping his mind sharp with the evolution of the game. So not a whole lot of rust. I think just the change of practices, the cardio of the wrestling and everything else. Like he's pretty pissed off at me the last couple of weeks just because training's been tough, so it is what it is.
But that power, it's still there because it takes a long time for it to go away with the big eyes. But now it's sharper because of the time you put in the boxing. So I'm sure it's a lot of give and take, man. But I am really pumped up about this fight. No disrespect to Bones and Miocic, but this is the one I'm most pumped up about as we finish the year.
Yeah, me too, man. And look, like these guys are all top 5 in the world, right? In their respective division, I would say. But I'm with you, man. Like the unknown of Stipe not fighting since the last time, him and Francis fought, kind of takes the luster out of it to me a little bit, whereas somebody like Hennen, who's been active and doing what he's been doing within the PFL ranks, I think definitely make this fight a little bit more intriguing.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I know you're busy out there in Paris. Thanks for hopping on our 3500 show. I'm sorry I missed your birthday. We did this Utah hike for Goze's birthday, and yours is the day before his, and I missed it. Facebook, it kind of bails this old man out from time to time. I just didn't log on, and you were kind enough to wish me a happy birthday. And I'm not all about belated because that just means you fucked up. I just hope you had a good one out there in Paris, France with the boys.
Yeah, man, I don't even really count this birthday because until I get home, it's then it's the actual birthday time. But no, man, I had to jump on and see you guys. I think that I always try to bring it up every time I'm on the show, but you guys have definitely helped form and mold my career into what it is today. You guys have believed in me in a time when not a lot of people have, and I love you both immensely. So I couldn't be more honored to be on the show and share this moment with you guys and just tell you guys I love you and happy birthdays to both of you.
We love you too, man. Take care. Say hi to the big man for us.
All right, boys. We'll do. Take care.
And Dewey. Dewey's cool, man.
We'll do. He's around here somewhere.
All right.
Later,
man.
Yeah.
All right, Goze. Another Vato, man. Another badass. Another legend. This guy held belts at Shudo. He held belts at WEC and Strikeforce, and he's one of our favorites because he's from our hood. Gilbert Melendez. What's up, Gil? How you doing?
What's up, fellas? Doing great out here, man. Happy to be here today for your guys' 3,500 show. And yeah, man, happy to be here.
Hey, where do you keep all them belts, by the way? Does Gil Sr. have one, or are they at the gym? Or don't tell us they're in some closet in Santa Ana buried. I hope you floss them.
Nah, man, I'm flossing them. I got a few hung up in the gym. And of course, Senior has a couple at home. And there's maybe one in the closet somewhere.
That's awesome, man. Well, no, listen, you were one of the fighters that we sponsored when we were Tag Radio. We didn't know what we were doing back then. I guess it turns out it might have been unethical once we joined MMA Junkie Radio. But hey, we are all kind of learning along the way, you know, kind of like banding together, whether it was journalists, fighters, promoters, whoever, just trying to make this thing grow, you know, and you're definitely one of the OGs. They say that means you're old. I'm not trying to say that, but like I say, you've been in the sport for a long time, and wherever you went, you were successful. So, you know, thank you for your contributions to that, and thank you for helping us grow.
Yeah, you know, when you asked me to be on the 3500 show, I just went back in time to that moment. You know, I know you guys live by like that McFadden area, that junior high area. Yeah. And I remember stepping into your guys' home. You guys invited me during Tag Radio. I was coming up as a fighter. Maybe I just fought in Pride, I think.
And, you know, I remember you guys offered me that sponsorship. I think Goze, or you guys had like a cap, or so you lifted it up. Anyways, there was like a few stacks of $500 here, there, and $1,500. And man, I was jacked.
The beginning of my journey, and you know, it just felt good to have some boys from Santa Ana supporting me. You know, two guys who had the same passion for MMA that I did, and just to get that Santa Ana support, man, I was just going back in time, and you know, it was just a great moment, and just to see where we're at now. I don't even know when that was. That was damn near 20 years ago, I believe, and it's great to see how far you guys come, man.
I think it
was 2007. I believe it was a pool table you did that, right, Goze, or something like that?
I hit it. I told him there's money under 3 different items. You pick. But it was really a trick. I just wanted to see if he'd gamble. And he gambled. He's like, I'll take that one. I was like, all right, it's the same everywhere. But what was really fun, honestly, too, was when you would fight in Pride, your family would come to our house and they would watch the fight there. And that was so much fun, like watching it with some of your family members and friends and stuff. But to see the career that you've had, and to see that you're still in our industry and now even putting on fights yourself, this evolution that you've gone through is amazing, Gil. And we really appreciate you letting us be a part of that as well.
Oh man, you guys have been super instrumental in my career as well as many other fighters, right? And you guys have really contributed so much to the MMA game, and to have my family over and to go on this journey with me, and to be able to be in studio with you guys and take a shot at tequila and, you know, go down memory lane with you guys. It's awesome, man. And I really think we kind of really helped ignite MMA in that Santa Ana region, you know, and I feel like there's a lot of fighters coming out of Santa Ana now. I mean, it's always been in Orange County, but you know, a lot of Latinos and Mexicans that are stepping in and delivering, because you know, all those guys from Santa Ana are tough out there, and I think you guys are instrumental in that. And now you guys really expanded your contributions to the MMA community, not just Santa Ana. Now it's, you know, everyone around the world, and you know, it's been great. And I always laugh because I have this guy, you know, of course you have Eric Salazar, who's a friend of mine, but I had this other guy, Jason Lackey. Do you guys know Jason Lackey? You know, you know, he became like an avid caller a little bit, and you know, I know he had this thing with Masvidal when we fought, and you know, he came on the show, and I just love it all. Like, I just love the story and the journey, you know, and you know, I think he even talked. Did he end up talking to Masvidal, or you know, did he call him when he called? I thought it was hilarious. You know?
I put him on the spot when Masvidal came to the studio, and I said, I think it's you and Masvidal fought in San Diego or something like that, and so yeah, he was a little nervous about it, but I told him, no, man, these guys are cool. They know how to shut it down. You know, once the fight's over, all the bickering is over. You know.
You know, it was real funny, that fight, because it was in San Diego, and man, my guys were, you know, they're hecklers. They were, you know, he kept like just heckling them, and and even like Masvidal like leaped into the crowd and went after someone, you know, and I think it was him, you know, and you know, some of the guys got in fights afterwards. It was just nuts, you know. But I laugh at, and I look back at the journey sometimes. It's hard to look back because I try to push forward. But you know, when we get to have moments like these, I get to look back in the journey and where you guys were and the people that we've got involved just because of our journey. And it's really fun to look back and just really enjoy and celebrate with you guys on such a cool day.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, there's a lot of great memories for sure. And I just wanted to tell you something real quick on the way out. We had Frank Trigg on earlier. He fought, commentated, and now he's a ref. And I think he's done great at all of them. That's contributing. That's caring about the sport. And you're kind of like a 3D sports star as well. Fought, commentated, and now promoting, you know. And I know we're going to have you on next week because you have a show coming up in December. We talked before your debut show as well, but I just want to congratulate you for sticking around and helping the sport grow in many different ways. You know, wearing many different hats, and you always do it with class. So congrats on that. You make us proud as your friend, and Santa Ana, your hometown, proud as well.
Well, that means a lot to hear from you guys. Thank you very much for saying that. And I think we have the recipe, right? We lead with love. We freaking love this sport, man. I think we all three right here, we love this sport. We're passionate about it. We're fans first. And I think that's what makes us special. And that's what keeps us in this sport. And that's what keeps us relevant in this game to this day. I really believe that.
No doubt. All right, bro. We'll let you go. But thanks for popping in on our 3500 show. Gilbert Melendez, man, former WC Strikeforce and Shudo champ. There he is. All right, Goze. Mike Bohn joins us next. Man, have you seen them pictures of Mike in the studio when he was first with us?
He hasn't
changed much. Just a little bit of facial hair. He was young Mike Bohn, and then he turned 30. We're like, can we still call you young Mike Bohn? But man, this guy doesn't. There he is. Look at that. Look at that. That's young Mike Bohn when he first started off with us.
That's dope.
Literally one of the best, if not the best, in the business. He's the MMA media titan. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, I'm good, man. Congrats, you guys. This is obviously a massive achievement. I don't even know what show I was there for when you guys probably did where that photo was taken. That was July 2nd, 2014. So,
wow,
time ago,
just
man.
over 10 years.
Yeah. That was the evolution of the show. That was when we were a TV show back east. So he was on for that one, and yeah, it was fun meeting him for the first time and picking his brain. He was so excited, and like, honestly, I would have never imagined you'd be able to do the things that you've done. Like, think about just even saying it back then, that you would one day be like in Saudi Arabia, like that. We'd never think the sport would get to that. And Mike has traveled all over the world. I'd love to get a look at his passport one day. That'd be cool.
Yeah, getting close to needing a new one. Got a lot of stamps on there, but yeah, it's crazy, man. And where it's come since I first met you guys and what you guys have accomplished and all the kind of different mediums we've been through. It's a hell of an achievement, man. The other studio I've been to several times that you guys had in Las Vegas and the Sportsbook was a lot of fun, a lot of good memories there as well. So it's nice to see you guys continue to hit these massive milestones, man. This has been a great show so far. You guys have had all-star lineup in here, and I'm happy to be able to have my name at least on the list.
Hey, real quick, Mike, how about for you? You know, we've asked a lot of fighters about the sport changing and all. How about you? How has it been different from your lens as a reporter?
Man,
is it more cool? Are the fighters more cool, or is it because there's so many outlets now it's like more tiresome for them? Or
yeah,
you know,
I mean, I think definitely media has evolved, and that's been both good and bad in multiple ways. But when I first started, like how I got some of my first interviews, I just message a fighter on like Twitter, or it was pretty much just Twitter at the time, Facebook maybe, and that's how I got a lot of my first interviews. And good luck trying to do that now if you're an up and coming reporter. I mean, maybe you'd be able to have some luck with some smaller names, but one of my first interviews was Benson Henderson, who was the UFC champion at the time, about to rematch Frankie Edgar, and got an interview with him just through a Twitter message. And I think that would probably be a little more difficult to do with Islam Makhachev now or something, right? So yeah, I think there's more difficulties, but the UFC, I mean, has obviously changed a lot with how they deal with media and the outlets that you see there and all that kind of stuff, man. But you guys have been a presence all through that process, so that's a huge achievement.
Who have you blown away the most when you revealed a stat about them? Because I've heard a lot of fighters or even Dana go, shit, I didn't know that.
Max Holloway is probably a good one. I remember when I told him he was the first fighter, I think it was to land 2,000 strikes in the UFC total. He's like, well, I'm going to be one day the first fighter to land 10,000 overall in a career, which I think he's at like 3,500 or something now. So he's got a long way to go, but it's like, you can call me 10K Holloway after that one. So I think he kind of gave himself a little nickname based off the stats. So yeah.
And Mike's also up the bonuses as well. So yeah, great. I'm sure the fighters love you for that one.
I think that time is now gone.
Hey, Mike, I was actually around some old high school friends this weekend. What do your high school and junior high friends say? Like, is it something that they expected? Like, that makes sense. Mike was always into that type of stuff. Or are they kind of like surprised that you're doing this?
No, I think it does not surprise a lot of them. I mean, a few of them, the first website that I started, which was called Fight Cove at the time, two of my high school friends who are still two of my best friends to this day, helped me start the website, and we put our little bit of seed money in together and started that website. And yeah, they've been huge supporters of mine and probably still to this day some of my biggest supporters. So shout out to John Giroux and Eric Jackson on that front too.
Nice.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us on our 3500 show. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you guys so much.
See ya. All right. Goze, you ready to laugh your ass off?
Mm-hmm.
The funniest man on the planet joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. Joey Diaz, turn on that camera, cocksucker.
I'm trying. I'm learning how to do all this shit. It's a nightmare.
You have like 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
You should be showing us tricks. We're showing you.
What's going on, guys? You bad motherfucker.
How you doing, man? Long time no talk.
I know. I'm over here in Jersey, Central Jersey, just watching my daughter get older with her fucking crazy friends. That's it.
Playing softball, and see, you're getting into it, man. I saw some post on Facebook. I don't know if you are mad that I brought it up, but you're passionate about it.
I'm passionate about good people around your kids. When you got to see here, if you're a dad, you could just step on and coach. You don't have to know dick. I wouldn't. I'm Cuban. I know all about baseball, and I didn't fucking raise my hand. Well, on top of that, they won't let me. I got felonies. But, what the fuck? So this was last year's team. She's on a new team. They're kicking ass. They just won a tournament. And that's it.
That's cool, man. I remember when you were coming to the studio and you told us, you were going to have a kid, and then the kid was one, and your daughter's now playing softball, and you're getting all emotional. That's really, really cool. And it's nice to see you're a part of it, with you're a really good team dad. I think you took them to the Yankees game once, right?
Yeah, no, we all the parents. We take them to Yankee games. We take them to like Central New Jersey's got like a local team, shit like that. But it's interesting. It's great. I never did this before. As a kid, we played stickball. We threw eggs at the neighbor, There was no fucking girls softball, so.
Hey, Joey, so what's your next big project? Do you have something on tap? Are you going to hit the road again like you used to?
Nah, I'm going to Philly, November 27th. I'm doing the Parks Casino. And then I'm doing, I'm thinking of getting a residency in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Even
nice.
though a lot of creepy crawlers down there, you know what I'm saying? That's a real fucking spot down there. And that's it. Just taking it easy. No. I'll come to Vegas again, but let me get my 45 minutes and let me get ready for these fucking savages. I don't want to go out there with, 2 guns and no bullets. You want to go out there with 8 guns, all of them filled to the fucking brim. So
okay. So you got to do some late night writing and stuff like that, and getting the your script together, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I get on stage, I crack some jokes, I try some shit I write. And then when I got 30 minutes, I go show up down in Austin with the big boys and see what the fuck I got. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's
do you not realize that just standing there and the minute you open your mouth, more people laugh at your sets than some of the other guys that have written fucking 40 hours worth?
Yeah, listen, man, it's 2 different types of world. I'm not a really good stand-up comic. Like Bill Burr's very good. There's solid, fundamental stand-ups. I'm more like a corner comic. You know what I'm saying? I hang out the corner. You come by. We smoke a number. We talk about your fucking chubby uncle, you know, shit like that.
Have you been going to MMA shows and have you been watching the big MMA events? You still following?
I didn't watch Noche de fucking Buenos, you know. I was busy that night, you know, fucking. Listen, what the fuck? Noche de los Muertos is fucking November 1st. When did they come up with this fucking fake fucking holiday? You know, I gotta watch the fight and I'm on the set of Coco and shit. What the fuck?
Hey,
You're
Joey.
right, man, huh?
Right, but I won. I bet it because DraftKings had a special 100% boost. They're not going to give you 100% boost if Sean O'Malley's fighting because that means everybody's going to bet Sean. So I took a little chance with the other fucking little crazy guy, and look what happened. Boom. I didn't even watch the fights.
Hey, Joey. So I use you as a reference for a question that I get. It's when people ask me, how do you want to be remembered? I always say, I want people to say that there was nobody like him. And I use you as the example. There's just literally nobody like you. You can't say he's like Ted, but with curly hair. There's nobody like you. But I'm curious, what is your own kind of parameter for what is it you want to be remembered for? Like, what do you want people to say about you?
Well, you got to hit me with, I just did like 4 bunk hits. Now you got to set me back an hour. You know what I'm saying? No. A good guy, good heart, good dad, you know, funny guy. I never, you know, when I got into comedy, it was just to buy time. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and that was the easiest way. I really enjoyed stand-up. So I go, I'll do some stand-up till I become a cameraman or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always got to start somewhere. And it went a different direction. So maybe a guy that works hard, you know, nothing was given to us. We got to fucking stab people every day. That's it. You think it's going to get easier, and it doesn't. It gets harder. At 61, I still got to yell at people and tell them to suck my dick. You know, that's not good. I wanted to be walking around with a shirt with a cross in the front with a Bible, like your old uncle, you know, like, oh, let the Lord empty your life. The Lord ain't coming back. Not next week, at least. The Jews are going off next week. So fucking put your yarmulke on and shave that little white thing and don't speak Spanish.
Hey, back in the day, Carlos Conduit was one of your favorite fighters. Who's one of your favorite fighters nowadays?
I like a lot of guys, but the guy that really impressed me the most lately is the guy that I've been following him. I always bet him. Bilal
Muhammad.
Oh, that's my dog. He's my heart. I knew he was going to be a champion the first time I saw him fight. And when he fought the last time, I fucking knew he was going to win. I love that guy. He's a clean fighter, very disciplined, you know, and he takes care of business when it comes time to take care of business.
Yeah.
That motherfucker had to fight for everything, you know.
Yeah, he put a number on Leon Edwards in
and I love
England
Leon.
too.
I fucking love Leon. But that was a hard fight to watch, but I knew it was his world that night.
Yeah.
He's just that type of guy.
Hey, Joey, thanks for popping on our 3500 show. You know, our show was always about MMA and fighters, but there's so many personalities that accompany, you know, the sport, you know, and you know, other athletes, comedians. And I'm telling you, man, when you used to come on our show more often, you were one of the most liked guests, most requested guests, and I knew we had to have you on. And thanks for setting some time aside to pop on with us, and thanks for being part of our long journey.
Well, call me for fucking November. I'm gonna go to that fight.
Okay. For the New York, you're going to New York fight?
Fuck yeah, I'm only an hour away. John
Jones, man, against Stipe Miocic, some old dudes like us fighting.
Now, is Dustin fighting on this card?
You know, he says he's got one more in him, but he hasn't announced. But you know who's fighting is Michael Chandler against Charles Oliveira.
That's a good fucking fight. So I'm looking forward to it. Call me the week before. Let's do some picks.
Okay, sounds good, Joey. Thanks again, man.
I just watch, you know, you eating with your mom and doing all the family stuff. So, pura mexicano, mi hermano. Puro. Gotta take care of mom and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Dad,
no doubt.
I know you drive back and forth, but yeah, I love you guys. Always here to support the show. Let me know what I can do.
All right,
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Thanks again, man.
We love you too.
All right, Goze. The other day when we were coming back from one of our hikes, we stopped at Wendy's. We had a Baconator.
Oh yeah,
that's your hint for who's up next.
I got
Bring
it.
him on. Former UFC welterweight champ Johny Hendricks, also a 2-time NCAA wrestling champion and 3-time finalist. This guy is a beast. What's up, Johnny? How are you? Good to see you, man.
Good seeing you guys as well. How's everything going?
Man, it's going good. We're celebrating our 3500 show. It's been a long journey. You were a huge part. You lived in Vegas. You used to co-host shows with us. We learned so much from you, from the world of wrestling. But it was really just watching you come over as a former NCAA superstar and then watching you grow at the different gyms, you know, and then eventually with Team Takedown, you know, and Mark, and eventually fucking holding the belt and then bringing the belt to the studio. It was a great run.
Yeah, you know, I've been blessed, and you know, having you guys there and being able to study fights with you guys and having to learn up on fighters and stuff like that, I think it helped me a lot during my career as well.
Do you miss it? Do you miss MMA and or even just competing? Because you went straight from wrestling to MMA and you know, like you retired a few years ago, but do you miss it?
I miss the competing part. I miss the unknown, right? I do miss that. I don't know, it's weird. I love the competition. Each second you had to adapt. Each moment you had to be aware of the dangers and the possibilities of you succeeding or failing, right? And that's why I always enjoyed. But, you know, I also know that once it became a job, I wanted to walk, you know, I knew I was going to retire. And I sort of hit that point. But now, you know, there's times that I do miss it. And I do miss that part of it is the unknown and the training and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Bilal Muhammad's the champ now. Were you aware of that? Have you followed him? And before that, it was Leon Edwards, or have you just pulled away from the sport?
You know, I watch it here and there. It's sort of hard to because, you know, you start getting into it and then you can sort of, you know, you're with regular people who don't know that much about the fight game, right? But you'll sit there and be like, this fight's over with. I can see it. I can tell. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, the fight's over with. So it's stuff like that I still enjoy, like figuring out how they're going to win. But for the most part, I stay away from it as much as I can. It doesn't mean that I would like to watch it more, but I know that it would make me want to come back.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Johnny, your career. So you've shared this story on our show before, so I'm okay bringing it up. But I wanted to ask you, when you first had like your first MMA practice, it did not go your way, and you were very close to possibly not even doing any of this. Do you ever look back on that moment, and can you maybe share like what it was that kept you in the game?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't remember that day. Right, I woke up the next morning, and I remember going down. I was like, "That's the worst that could happen to you." Right, you get knocked out. You wake up the next day. And I knew that there's two things that I'm going to have to do. One, learn how to strike for sure. But I also knew that I wanted, I don't know, like that hunger inside of me I knew that I was tough and I knew that I could be what I wanted to be. But going against people that had better skills than you, that's what really drove me into it. I was like, you know, I'm the best wrestler and I can, you know, if I put my mind to it, I can reach the dreams I wanted to in that. But this, I have to start off with scratch. I have to learn everything. Just because you can wrestle doesn't mean anything. You have to learn striking, kicking, jiu-jitsu. There's a bunch of layers that come in together to create an athlete, right? And that's really what drove me to it. I was like, man, I wonder if I could be good at this. I had no idea. You know what I mean? I didn't like getting punched. I only had one fight. I didn't know about fighting. All I knew was I know how to wrestle, and I knew that was tough. You know, I knew that I've battled through a lot of injuries through my collegiate career, but getting punched in the face and all that kind of stuff was a totally different scenario.
Last one for me, the GSP fight. I watched it not too long ago. I want to know, when's the last time you watched it, and has your opinion changed in any way? Have you seen anything you haven't seen? Can you maybe talk about that?
Yeah, I still, whenever I watch it, you know, I can see in the third round where I knew that GSP was a great competitor. I knew that I really believed that he was going to come out with something different. I knew his coaches. I knew how they were going to game plan for me. And once I shut that game plan down, I really thought that he was going to be able to come out with more strikes, more stay on the feet type attitude, right? So that's why I was expecting the whole third round. And so whenever it didn't happen, that's whenever the fourth round, I was like, okay, I should have made that switch quicker, saying that, okay, he doesn't want to stay on the feet. He wants to keep taking it to the ground, to have potential to submit me or something like that. So in my mind, if I'd have changed it sooner, after like the first minute and a half, if I'd have made my mind switch over to say, hey, let's just go back to striking, I think it'd have been more of a separation. But, you know, when I go back and watch it, I'm like, man, I just don't see how I lost that fight. I know I did, but it's just one of those things like God has a plan. I don't know what it was, but it was sort of cool to come back to Texas and win it here.
Johnny, thank you so much for stopping by on our 3500 show. You are a part of so many of them, especially when you lived in Vegas. And again, it was just full circle watching you grow as a guy that came straight out of college and then eventually won the belt, man, and then brought it to the studio, man. So much to us. And it means a lot that you stopped by today, and you've always been a success at whatever you do. So I'm sure you're a hell of a dad out there, and you're still passing the wrestling knowledge on. Keep doing your thing. Hopefully we can have you on in the future so we can kind of do more of a catch up, because it's great just seeing your face, man, and talking old times.
Hey, same here. I love you guys. I give a lot to you guys because you guys brought on a guy who just knew how to wrestle, and my fame and popularity and all that kind of stuff. I know that it started with you guys, and that's why anything that y'all need, I'm willing to do, because y'all helped out a guy like me. And then, you know, I was able to be blessed and reach the goals that I wanted to. And that's what I want to do for you guys as well.
Thank you, man. It means a lot. And we love you too, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, bro?
Yes, sir. Y'all be safe, okay?
All right, you too.
All right.
All right. Goes, you know how I talked about that grind that wrestling brings and how tough this dude is and all his accomplishments? This young lady works hard, man. She can do it when she's in the arena reporting. Did you see how high she was up there in the at the Sphere, changing her outfits, right? The fits were on point, and she can host the desk. And if that ain't enough, I guess she jumps on some sort of a red eye and works the NFL sidelines, and just always on point, mostly memorizing all of what she needs to talk about, rarely looking down. It's Megan Olivi, who we've known for quite a long time, and it's great to have you on our 3500 show. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys? Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Goze. I mean, this is amazing.
George,
thank you so much.
I'll tell you one thing. So when Megan used to come on the show in studio, it would be the most underprepared I would ever be for any show, because she would always show up early because she's professional. But we would talk about the dumbest things, dude, like Janet Jackson and the Spice Girls. And it was nonstop. And before we knew it, they were like 10, 9. And we were like, we haven't even talked about what we're supposed to. But it was so much fun because your energy is so infectious, Megan. And some people can't translate that onto video, but you can. And I love that about you. And like George mentioned, you know, you do a phenomenal job. But one of the little side plots that maybe you don't know about, but I'll tell you this much. My girlfriend loves it. She wants to know what you're wearing. She's like, I can't wait to see what she's wearing and her different outfits. And she's from Mexico City. So she was like, she's going to bring it. I know it. And I can't wait to see it. And so she was real excited about that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, that was really kind of you to say. And all of those topics are very important to me, the Spice Girls and Janet Jackson. But no, the outfits thing, particularly for the Sphere, was something I took really seriously. So everything I wore was from a woman-owned or minority-owned brand. And I just wanted to make sure that I was able to put those on a platform that they deserve. Yeah. And, I dressed myself, so it was quite stressful, but I think we pulled it off pretty well.
Look at that, man. That's so cool, helping others. I always say, as you climb up, if you get to a next step or whatever, look down and pull someone up. And that's awesome that you did that. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it again, because I was watching, we were doing a watch along, but I remember seeing you in different locations and seeing the different fits, and I was like, perfect. But now I want to see exactly, maybe did you kind of put that to your social media and give credit to who some of these people are? Because we have a big Latino family in Mexico and Peru, and maybe we can give some love to some of those designers.
Yeah, what's funny is I had reached out, I had asked for some help within the UFC and Endeavor to get actual designers from Mexico to help me dress. And obviously I would pay for the items or just wear them and mail them back, whatever they wanted. But that didn't ever come to fruition. So I was just trying to buy from brands that I knew were woman-owned or minority-owned. And so they're brands that are pretty big in North America, but it still was important to me to not just, not give credit and spotlight where I could, particularly since I know people do care about the wardrobe a lot. Like the Say and Self Portrait, Alice and Olivia, those are all brands that, have somebody from a background that is a woman or minority woman. And so I wish that I could have done a little bit more in terms of the Latino designer community. I did try, but all the messages I was sending on Instagram fell on deaf ears, and Endeavor unfortunately couldn't really come up with anything able to help. But I did my best that I could with the platform that I had. And, we were going up to literally the highest point of the Sphere and big skirts and trying to not kill myself up there and talk to a drone. So it was wild.
Talk to a drone.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, just a couple quick ones here. Have you seen Beckham, the documentary on Netflix?
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah, long time. I was like, wait, the one that came. Yeah, of course. I watched it immediately because Victoria's my gal.
It's really well done, isn't it? Like, aside from if you don't like soccer or never knew about the Spice Girls or heard about them or whatever, which I would find incredibly alarming, but it's just really, really well done. Everyone I've turned on to it loves it.
Yeah, and I obviously was a lot younger when that came out, and I didn't know about the actual struggles of David Beckham, particularly some of the vile things he had gone through at certain points of his career. And so to see that he went through that journey to just this beloved figure now, I thought the way they explained it all was really beautiful, and it didn't leave out his flaws either. So, they weren't just trying to tell a story that was just about him. So I loved it. I thought it was super well done. It made me want to buy a farm. So, lots of great things.
Compare the NFL sideline athlete to the MMA athlete in terms of their energy and intensity, because these are two very violent sports.
Yeah, very much the same, which is a huge benefit for me. I will say that the majority of my conversations are on a Sunday morning. I always try to get the players before they put their pads on when they do their walkthroughs and their stretching, but they're locked in. And I think it would be the same if I was trying to have conversations on Saturday night with a fighter just an hour or two before they were going to compete. They're very locked in. I will say one definitely helps the other. I get a lot of, oh my God, I love you on UFC, or what do you think about this matchup, or what do you think about this fight? Which is really cool on the sideline. It helps kind of break those, be icebreakers for me if I haven't worked with a particular athlete. But they are so focused. They are so dialed in. They're so detail oriented. But it's cool also because big stars in the NFL also know that fans come early to watch them. Somebody like Justin Jefferson, he makes a point to come out and do these, kind of spectacular catches in the end zone so that fans have the opportunity to see him and see him warm up. It's not something that they take for granted, which I have so much respect for, because there's a lot of things they could be doing, but they're very aware that there are people who paid their hard-earned money to be in those stands. And they always try, during the warm-ups to give them a show. And then I'm kind of trying to not interrupt, as they're walking on or off the field and get what I need for the Sunday conversations as well.
I got one as far as when it comes to the NFL. It's probably a two-part question, but what was their reaction to Noche and what the UFC did production-wise, all that? Did you get a lot of questions about that?
I
And the other
did.
thing is, what is like one thing that you've taken from working with the NFL and applied it to your UFC career, and maybe one thing from the UFC that you've been able to apply to doing the NFL?
Yeah, well, on the first part of the question with Noche, I like got so many comments and a lot of very surprised reactions on Sunday morning when they saw me in Boston. They were like, "Wait, what?" The head coach of the Boston Celtics was there, and I've interacted with him at fights before, and he was like, "Wait a second." And then his wife was like, "Oh, I loved your outfits last night. What are you doing here?" So I think a lot of people in the sports production industry, at least with my interactions, were just kind of blown away by what we were able to do, and not just do it, but do it kind of seamlessly. We didn't have any, big tech fallouts or anything like that. We all were able to hold up our end of the bargain, which I think really impressed a lot of people. And the biggest question I got was, is this really a one-time thing? I think people were really so impressed by what we did. They can't imagine that we wouldn't do it again. And then in terms of the skill set, I mean, I owe so much to the roles I'm able to play on a UFC broadcast, from memorizing all those hits to commentary at the desk or at the booth to hosting the desk and backstage reports, and interviews. Every single thing I have is every single thing I get to do is a skill set I can utilize with the NFL, particularly the post-game interviews where you have 30 seconds to wrangle a player and get to questions. It's what we do post-fight. And sometimes it's just about reading an athlete on their way over. And so that's been huge. And, from the NFL world, just also those hits where you're doing everything off camera, where you really have to be descriptive and use your voice and storytelling capabilities in a very short window. That's really helped me in my UFC outings as well to kind of hone in on those commentary positions as well.
Well, you're knocking it out of the park, and it doesn't
Thanks.
surprise me because, like I say, everything you've tackled along the way, you've done it very well. And
Thanks.
I love you as part of that team with
Thanks.
John, and Joe and Daniel and you and Dean or whoever the person is on the side. But you guys really, really do a great job. We know it's business time when we see all your faces there ready to go. And I know you guys will be ready for Salt Lake City, UFC 307 2 title fights, and Kayla Harrison battling Kellen Souza. And Megan, we hope to get you back again soon and just kind of catch up, to see what life is like nowadays for you. You and Joe B1 Kenobi, who I was happy to see at the gym the other day. He's back in the gym, and he was even teaching class and everything.
Yep. Not ever coming back to competition, just helping be a good leader and some guidance there for the younger guys in the gym, which is great. And Joe's the best, and we just love you guys so much, and everything MMA Junkie, particularly this show, has done for the sport and both of us. And Joe from the WC all the way through his UFC career, you guys have just been a real gift to us, and we're so lucky every time we interact. So congratulations on this really monumental episode. You two are the absolute best and deserve it all.
Thank you
so much.
Really means a lot, and thanks for being part of it.
Thanks. See you guys soon.
All right. See ya. Hey, Goze, the next dude, man, he lives up to his name. If you ever just face it, right, and think you know it all, check out all the fucking people this guy's fought. I mean, some of the baddest men on the planet. Those are some cojones, man. Chael, you have fought everyone, man, for all those years that we're in there.
Hello?
Like,
Is this emergency services? Send an ambulance immediately. Megan's overdosed on gorgeous pills. Hey, you know what, you couple of scumbags? You've never invited me on the show. You didn't invite me on the show because you've owed me an apology for almost 10 years. And then I get an email from you. And today's this great show and it says monumental moment. And you tell me in the email you're going to keep me for 3 to 5 minutes. You can't tell the Chael story in 3 to 5 minutes. You couldn't even cover one of my suspensions within 3 to 5 minutes. What are we possibly going to talk about? What are we possibly going to do? It's like, here's your hat. What's your hurry? Tell your story walking. What's that all about? 3 to 5 minutes for the biggest star in the sport?
You're a popular guy. We want to take away from the public.
Megan is fire. I love what you guys just said to her. That was such a nice compliment you gave her. And you want to know the only thing she is more than beautiful? She's a good friend, and she's an even better wife. Her sun and moon hangs on Joseph B., and there is nothing more attractive than her loyalty to that. I just got to tell you, that's a good person right there.
It is, man. No, but seriously, I guess because it's a busy show, and I know you guys get pulled in so many directions, so many fight cards, so many fights, and obviously you guys, you're a star, man. You bring a big audience with you. So I just want to say, hey, we're not going to keep you on forever, but no, seriously, Chael, sometimes when I stare at all the people you fought, I'm like, holy cow. At any point, was it just, it's just a fight, I know I'm going to live through it or whatever, or did you have nerves facing some of these badasses through all these years?
I think you were the only person to pay me that compliment, and that really means a lot to me. I never reached my goal. I never got to be champion, and then there's weird intricacies within certain commissions that oversee the unified rules. Like some people would say I lost, not by any reasonable rule set, but in some jurisdictions they would say that. You're the first one to pay me that compliment, and I really do appreciate that. When I started, there was a t-shirt, and it was created by a guy named Rico Chiapparelli. And the t-shirt just said Raw Team on the front, and on the back it said anyone, anywhere, anytime. But that was a really big message to me. Like, I had that shirt. I used to wear that shirt. I've never met Rico. I was never part of the Raw Team. I just liked the message so much, and I really believed in that. And there were so many guys that didn't, particularly now where it's become a business and guys are famous or they make more money so that they don't have to show up to work. It's one of these really weird things. And I did follow that code. And no matter what I said, I would answer for it. And I knew plenty of times, this is not going to be a good night for me. And I walked out there anyway, 3 different weight classes, and you're the only one to give me that credit. And I really appreciated that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well,
I meant it, man. It's incredible. The long list of fighters. He's fought fucking everyone. Tough badasses too. Mm-hmm. Some that even reached great heights at heavyweight. And if you recall, Chael did a lot of his work at light heavyweight, but most of his work at middleweight. So he's getting outweighed in a lot of these matchups, but he still went in there and did it, dude. Like, it's simply amazing. Go ahead, Goze.
Well, I was just going to say that Raw Training Center in El Segundo, when you would walk in there, just the level of fighters that they had. And not just that, but they also did pro wrestling there. So you could see John Cena over there jumping up and down on them ropes. But the one thing, Chael, that I think we have to thank you for here in the sport is, like, you've kind of changed the game and you've kept everyone on their toes, and you've showed people that there is different avenues once you hang up the gloves. What's it like to know that you've actually changed a sport?
That is such a compliment. All right. You know what? You guys aren't giving me the apology that you've owed me, but I know you mean it, and I accept, by the way. It was tremendous. To leave a mark of some fashion, like, it's always your goal. That could go to junior high or high school where you try to do something and maybe the PE teacher talks about you for years to come. It was really nice. It was really nice to be paid that. I got paid that by Conor McGregor publicly one time, that said that he was influenced by me, and I just appreciate it. It was a simple thing, but I did try to change it, and there was a courage that was involved. Like, it was met with tremendous resistance. I had an executive director that tried to deny my license one time because I talked trash and I was disrespectful. This is what he said. I never used profanity. I threatened violence, and he said, try to bring entertainment side. Keith Kaiser was his name, in Nevada. Sat in front of Lorenzo Fertitta and said, I'm not licensing this guy because kids can see him, and what a terrible example is. And we kind of just sat there going, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was part of the requirement. And it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess to get that done. And I only tell it because there was a courage to stay with that character, to stay with that gimmick, or you try to give the audience a level of entertainment or something along those lines. When people are booing you, people are giving you death threats. You got government officials that want to, take your license away and your opportunity to do it just because you're doing interviews that are bringing attention. It was a little bit of a weird time. And to see that people saw that, and thank you for that. It means a lot to me.
What fight was that, by the way? Can you share?
Yes, I was getting ready to do I think his name is Keith Kaiser, but it might be Chris Kaiser. He was an old guy from Nevada, and they called him at 2 a.m. The governor called him and fired him. He did some interview where he said he didn't care if the UFC ever came back to Nevada. Oh, you know what it was? George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks fought, and Dana hated that decision. And Dana said, it makes me scared to do business in Nevada. And they asked this guy about it, and they said, is that a problem? And he goes, not for me. The governor got woken up, called him, and he was packing by 9 a.m. Monday morning. And I only tell you that because, those words matter, right? He tried to take my job and my license away for something I said. And what irony, they took his job and his ability away for something that he said. And I don't know that he deserved that, but I most certainly didn't deserve when he tried to do it to me. I've completely lost the question because I was enjoying taking a shot at the scumbag Chris Kaiser from my past. What did you ask me?
Did I
It was
ask that
Goze.
question?
Yeah, you did, Goze.
Your eyes okay? Is everything okay? You look cool in them. I'm into it.
No, remember, the last time I saw you, I had the Bell's palsy. So I guess since then I've just been conscious of it. So I throw. Plus, I thought your cool glasses. You know, I didn't want to get out cooled, so I threw mine on. But it kind of helps with that a little bit because the eye won't blink as much.
I must tell you, if that's something you're self-conscious about, I could not tell at all to the point that I even forgot that. Like, those glasses are doing the trick. You look great.
Oh, thank you. Well, let me go on with this. How was Brazil?
Oh, I remember the fight. You asked me what fight was that for.
Yeah, what fight?
I was coming back to an Ultimate Fighter, and I had done something that had really never been done in the sport, and it was simply a call-out. I called out who turned out to be a good friend of mine, Michael Bisping. And that just hadn't been done. People didn't call him. I even got a call from Dana and said, man, I'm reading these interviews. Did you call Michael Bisping out? And Dana was into it, but it didn't happen back then. You know, it's about respect and honor, just all this garbage. None of which is true with our sport. It's a whole bunch of scumbags that barely graduated high school. They're fighting half naked for a paycheck and the applause of a drunken audience. Like, there's nothing honorable about this sport, by the way. But I called them out, and they were so into it. They weren't just going to do the fight. They were going to do a season of The Ultimate Fighter and then have us fight. And The Ultimate Fighter is the greatest marketing vehicle, possibly replaced now by Contender Series, but certainly in 2010, the greatest marketing vehicle that this sport had ever seen. And it was a massive opportunity. There's a massive opportunity, and I couldn't get licensed, so they couldn't do the fight at the end of it. So they brought in Mayhem Miller.
You brought up death threats. When you went to Brazil, was it 24-hour security, or did they have things under control? Because I know that Colby had to have security when he left the arena to the airport. What was your experience like? You were there for 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
So I started getting these threats, and I was into it at first. Like one thing about a heel, you know, boos are, if you're a true heel, meaning you enjoy the character, you can take the heat. Boos are your cheers. When people are telling you they hate you, yes, I'm doing my job is working. But then there was one death threat that was very specific. They talked about not only how they were going to kill me, but they talked about the lake that they were going to put my body in. And for some reason, like that attention to detail did grab my attention. And Dana just said, hey, you're handled. I got this whole thing figured out. Get on the plane and trust me. And I get off the plane, I'm going to baggage claim. And when I get there, there is a 6-man team. And I mean, these guys are the men in black. They got the suits, the earpieces. They're strapped up underneath these are the real deal. But I do remember thinking, I'm with my hot ass wife who I just got married to. This was essentially our honeymoon. And I remember thinking, honey, why are we here? Like, if this is necessary, why are we here? And then we go outside and we got into one bulletproof vehicle. There turned out to be 3, one that leads, we're in the middle and behind. And yeah, it was 24-hour. They took us to a totally separate location. It was about an hour and 40 minutes from the set that we had to go to every day. Very, very inconvenient. It was in a gated community. And then they armed that 24 hours a day. Like when we slept, there was a guy on the porch and a guy in the kitchen, both armed.
Jeez. Whew. That's nuts, man.
Yeah. No, it was rather intense. We had something happen. There's some kind of a move in Brazil, but it's like a well-known move where somebody in traffic pulls in front of you, and then they hit their brakes to where you got to slow down, but then they got somebody behind them, and on the side they box you, they jump out and they rob you real fast. So this guy was just trying to merge lanes. It turned out, but he pulled in front of us and he hit the brakes. He was doing this, and they pulled out their guns and they started talking to each other in Portuguese, and I'm in the back of the car with my wife, and I will tell you, whatever bravado you think you have, if you find yourself in that situation, everything changes when the guns come out. And we also don't know what they're saying. We're it's one of those deals. And when it all calmed down, he let us know what had happened and why they behaved that way. But yeah, it was a great experience, quite frankly. It was awesome.
Damn. All right, last one. And obviously, you're a big figure in our sport. What you say matters, but this actually pertains. So I don't think it's fucking gotcha or fishing or nothing.
All right.
You know, John Jones has this fight coming up against Miocic, and there's talk about both guys might retire, right? But there's also the talk of Jones might not fight Miocic if he were to pull out. We don't wish that on him, whatever. And you got Aspinall waiting. And of course, I point to the UFC 151, I believe, when Hendo couldn't go. You stepped up and he wouldn't fight you. What do you think happens in New York without jinxing it? What scenario do you see is very plausible here?
Okay, I do believe that fight happens. First off, I believe that happens. I have a pretty good pen pal relationship with Stipe's manager, who's also his wife. And one thing about this story that I wish people would tell more of, if you'll recall, but when Stipe had his last fight, it was against Francis. And something that surprised us all, and we didn't quite know what to make of it, is Stipe weighed in at 231 pounds. What do you do? You won the heavyweight championship, fought Daniel Cormier at 248. All of a sudden, he's 231. And when he came out of that fight, now they're one apiece with Francis, he assumed he was going to go into a true trilogy. So he did exactly what John took 3 years to do, which is put full focus on changing your physiology. And she was the one that helped oversee that. She was the one that was cooking, and she was really updating me that he got up to 255, and it was lean. And a 255-pound muscled Stipe, that is a very interesting proposition. I mean, the entire story of John Jones leaving light heavyweight and going to heavyweight was to spot somebody a few pounds, like to put himself at a disadvantage so we, the audience, could imagine that John is going to have a struggle. And I just think it's a great part of the story. These two guys literally did the same thing. They got into a division. They saw they were giving up size. They thought they needed some more mass. They took time. They put it. I think that's interesting. Apparently other people don't, because nobody is discussing that. But I do share that with you. That when you change your physiology, when you're changing your lifestyle like that, putting on weight is just as hard as taking it off. But you're very serious about something. And Stipe is very serious about this. He is not going to pull out. He just simply is not. And I love the angle that Dana's working where he's announced Tom as the backup fighter. In history of the UFC, and you get these negotiations, they go back and forth, or even the example that you gave of 151. For some reason, that never happens when Dana announces the guy's the backup fighter. Like if something goes on, the guy just goes in. There's never really a negotiation. I've always been curious. Do they do that ahead of time? Do they work things out with both? If it's this guy versus this guy, or is it just peer pressure? And I don't actually know how that works, but I love the angle because the fans have really brought Tom into a conversation. And it's not as much disrespecting and blowing Stipe off as some people think it is. The main thing we love about this sport is what's next. And Stipe, because he's announcing he's retiring, it doesn't actually mean we're counting him out. It just, we lose the opportunity to discuss what's next. And I only bring that to you because not only is Stipe a live dog in this, he's actually not quite as dismissed as some might think it appears. There is a number of fighters, and John Jones is one of them, that knows this is a problem.
Yeah. I hope it goes down. It's going to be two great fights with Ngannou and Henan Fajeda, and then the other one in New York with the great John Jones against Stipe Miocic. Can't wait to sort all that out and get a true baddest man on the planet. The baddest man on the planet right now is you, Chael.
May I throw one thing at you as you're kicking me off your step? First off, congratulations on these shows, guys, and that was very cool that you included me. But I would like to tell you this, because it's a knock. It's a knock on Tom that Tom in his UFC career has only left the first round one time. It was against a former world champion, Andrei Arlovsky. He ended up stopping him in the second round. Tom has never seen a third round. Tom has signed up for 5-round fights. He has never been in those championship rounds. That's a problem. When you see a guy that's really good or really powerful, maybe I could use the example of Mike Tyson against Evander. The number one thing that cost Tyson there is he found himself in a fight harder than he was used to being in. All of a sudden, they're in round number 8, and this guy is still standing. And that's what cost Ronda against Holly above everything. It wasn't that right leg kick. It was the fact that Ronda got the previous 6 out of there and in 3 minutes combined. And so all of a sudden you find yourself in a harder fight. And that is one thing that John is very tested in. As good as John is and as dynamic as he is, one thing that's overlooked, that guy is dog tough. He will not wilt. He does not concede. When Vitor's taking his arm or I got his toe in problem, he's not giving up. And I don't suggest for you that Tom would, but it is something we don't know, right? When it's an athletic competition, the first round, he looks pretty damn good, but it turns into a tough guy contest when you get about 15 minutes in. And it's just, I'm just putting that out, food for thought.
That's a good point. Yeah. Chael, thanks so much for joining us on our 35th.
Oh, you don't mean it. You don't mean it. You've been trying to get, you know what? I've had it with both of you. Goodbye. Now I realize why we quit talking 10 years ago. Go. I've had it with you.
Hey, apologies. We snuck in the apology. All right, Goze. It's time for Burt Watson. Are you rolling? Are you ready to roll?
No, I never stop rolling.
Hey, Burt, is that Chael something else or what, man? He has me on my toes.
Well, you know what?
With you.
You know what? Chael is Chael. plain and simple. And what I just heard is nothing any different than you normally get from Chael. You know, what you get is what you just got. And what you see is what you get. And what you hear is mostly what you're always going to get. But one thing that I would never deny about Chael is that he's pretty informative and usually knows what the hell he's talking about. And most people who are as opinionated as Chael is need to know what they're talking about. Okay, because that bad stuff can't come out of their mouth.
It just flows. It just flows. What was it like? What was it like dealing with him behind the scenes? Was he one of your favorites, or?
It was always one of those things where my job was basically to motivate everybody to the level of performance that they needed to get into that cage, that octagon, or whatever it was. And it was to keep that level of intensity all week. And some guys I had to do that with because, you know, everybody went through weight cut and that's a whole nother fight in itself, you know, and once they got through that, then you had to get them into another level of preparation for fight night. Chael was one of those guys that created his own path to everything, plain and simple. You know, the way he approached his entrance into coming into fight week, the way he cut weight. Chael was probably one of the few guys that you can tell when a guy was cutting weight and when it was fight week. Chael was one of the few guys that his temperament and attitudes never really changed. Even though he was cutting weight, and I don't know him to have cut a lot of weight, but even though he was cutting weight, you know, and preparing for fight, he was still the same guy that you could take a microphone and put that microphone in front of him. You know, I used to always say, and I still say, sometimes when the lights go on, some people's lights go out. With Chael, he was like Muhammad Ali. He turned the switch on himself and left it on. And that's what you got.
Did you ever have to provide security for him because he was such a character that could ruffle feathers or anything like that?
Never wanted it. Never wanted it. And as quiet as it kept, I always knew there was always security around us at all times. And it also depends on the event, the amount of security and the position of security. There were few guys that I knew at some point I had somebody with eyes on them. But Chael, I never did, because as outspoken as he was always very ingratiating to the fans. He was never one of those guys that fought with the fans. He gave his opinion. He was opinionated, and most fans knew that and asked him because they wanted, I don't want to say the truth, they wanted Chael's answer. So, you know, when they came to him, they knew what they were going to get. And no, there were times I had to pull him in, yes, you know, but never had to send anybody out to get him. But to pull him in sometimes, you know, I'd sit and listen. And when it got to a point where I knew we had to kind of shut it down or move on to something else, then I would kind of wiggle my way in there. And you know what? He knew it was time to roll, and he pulled it on back in, man. But always gave 120%. And that was whatever he did. Interviews, weigh-in, cutting weight, press conferences, face-offs, agitating guys and getting under guys' skin. Everything was 120%. And that's just between him and you know, and not comparing the two, but just keeping on the theme of guys that maybe were in that same mindset or guys that kind of went at people like that. You know, him and Michael Bisping was kind of on the same the same kind of the same wavelength,
Right.
agitated,
Creating
knew when
heat. Yeah, creating that heat between the two
Oh.
fighters, that tension. They were great at it.
Oh. Chael and Michael were a little different. Chael did it for fun and agitation. Michael Bisping was Michael Bisping and didn't care. Michael Bisping did it because he wanted you to get upset and wanted you in a different mindset. Because when you got mad and upset, your mindset for fighting was in a whole nother direction. But when you gave it a thought process and you stuck to your game plan and you listened to your trainers and your coach and your game plan for the fight, you stuck to it. But if you let your opponent get in your head and get in your ear, that all went out the window. And Michael Bisping knew that. That's what he went at. Chael did it for fun because it became him, period. The guy.
Hey, Burt. So really quick, nice piece of hardware you got there. That's MMA Junkie Radio Hall of Fame bracelet.
Yep.
But we brought up those two guys here, and I wanted to ask you, and we are going to get you on to talk about your book as well. We definitely want to talk about that. Who would you say are the two biggest personalities you have ever been in the same room with? Kind of like the oh shit moment. We got to make sure these are two badasses right here, where you just felt it in your bones. You got the chills.
I just said Chael and Michael Bisping. Those are the two that automatically come off the top of my head. Now, when you badasses, Rampage was a badass. Chuck Liddell was a badass. Tito Ortiz was a badass. But in a different way, they weren't as agitated people as much as maybe Chael and Michael did. Tito just kind of pissed you off and got right in your face. Chuck Liddell knew he was Chuck Liddell. And he gave you that snarl and made no qualms in getting in a person's face, but never had a lot to say.
Liddell was intense. Liddell was intense for sure.
Oh, it was definitely. But Chael and Michael, and I'll tell you who else was like that very quietly, was Ronda Rousey. Very quietly, okay, and being one of the first females to take female combat sports to that level, Ronda was intense because she flipped a switch. Ronda was as nice and as kind-hearted and as loving, and her mom was always around and she was jovial. But let me tell you something, baby. After that weight cut and it was fight time, Ronda was a whole different person. Showed up to the dressing room, straight face, snarl, ready to roll, baby. And did that from the time she got in that dressing room until the time she left me, got paid, and went back to her room. But she was definitely intense.
Yeah. Burt, listen, we enjoyed when you would come to the studio on Fight Week, and that's how we got to know you, and Junkie Nation loves you, and we love you, and I want to thank you for being on our 3500 show. And folks, check out Burt's book called Being Burt Watson, who helped co-author it, right? Greatness Through a Legend's Eyes. A lot of these stories you're hearing here, you'll see them in the book, the feel for what it was like to be a site coordinator with the UFC and with Bellator, and of course early on in boxing and his time as with Joe Frazier. Check it out, folks. Available on Amazon.
Amazon, and it was one. It was time that I just kind of decided to sit down with someone and started to put what I had in my head and my heart on paper. And not only do I'm not only just looking to sell the book on Amazon. I'm not just looking to sell a book. I'm looking to teach the book as well, because I've always, in working with fighters and working with young men, I've always been able to see the parallel between sports and everyday life. And I'm going to tell you, man, that whole mindset, game plan, and commitment between the two was so mind-boggling, and it all transitioned very quickly. And I'm sure you guys, you probably saw it with guys, because you guys have seen and spoken to as many guys as I've worked with. And I said in my book that I've done 403 fights. From the dressing room to the boxing ring to the cage and the octagon, I've walked 8,069 fighters. Do that math.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how many. And I can probably guarantee you that in your, this is what, 3,500 this show?
3,500 episode, yes, sir.
I can guarantee you in that 3,500, you've probably spoken to 3 times that many. If you were to sit down and just kind of randomly think about how many you did in 6 months, you've probably done about 3 times that many, so you get to see, and there's a lot of things to compare it to, but you guys, like I did, you see the growth and development of the fighters, their technical skills, their talent, their life skills. And that's the thing I talk about in my book. Just like I've seen the development of you guys. Okay. Well, I'm looking at you guys now, man. Happy birthday to you today, bruh. I don't know how many people know that. And happy belated birthday to you. Okay. I never knew you guys. I knew, but then I didn't even put it in kind of in a context like that your birthdays were like a week apart. But
yeah, we've done the math. If you roll back the 9 months, it looks like our parents were getting down somewhere around Christmas time. So that's why it worked out this way. Hey, Burt, also great contributions on Legend to Legend on our website. And folks, you can catch them here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. Just scroll down and check out the Legend to Legend series that Burt Watson has done with Abbey Subhan and Goze. Thank you, Burt, for popping in today, sir.
I'm working on something special for Legends of Legends. I'm working on something special.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for it, man. Thank you for popping in today, Burt. Take care, bro. We'll see you, all right?
Happy 3,500 to you guys. Happy birthday to you. Always my brothers, baby. Appreciate you.
See you later. All right, Goze. Here he comes, man. Someone we saw from the early stages to now an actual superstar in the sport. Someone who people get excited about when you hear the music, when he's doing the walkout, because he lays it all on the line, man. It's Iron Michael Chandler. What's up? How you doing, Michael?
What's up, boys? Man, I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me and letting me have the opportunity to celebrate this milestone with you guys.
Well, thank you. It's been fun covering you from the very beginning when you just came out of Missouri, and you were growing in the sport. You letting us know that one day I'm going to be wearing some gold. I'm going to be fighting in some big fights, and you've delivered on that. But seriously, man, boy, your fights, I mean, everyone's on the edge of their seat whenever you get out there and throw down. I think that's one of the best compliments you can give to a pugilist, a prize fighter. Do you entertain? Hell yeah, this guy does.
Yeah, well, yes, and thank you for believing in me. I actually still, one of my earliest awesome memories of coming into the sport of mixed martial arts, transitioning in, a mutual friend of ours, my longtime manager, Randall Alleman, who's born and raised in Las Vegas, has now still been my longtime manager. He brought me in, and, one of my first, the real first legitimate MMA interview I ever had was with you guys was it Mandalay Bay Sportsbook?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I was just a kid with a dream, and shoot, man, that was 14 years ago, I believe, 14 or 15 years ago. And yeah, we've had a lot of runs, and just watching you guys, what you guys have done. And it's a beautiful sport, and there's a lot of beautiful people in it. And thank you guys for being that for us.
Thank you.
Well,
Hey,
thanks, man.
Michael.
That means a lot. Go ahead, Goze.
No, I was just gonna say, like, we want to say thank you to you because you've been a big part of our show as well. You know, with our fans and coming in and getting to know everyone. Even late nights at the Mandalay Bay. I've been at our parents' house for our birthday, our mother's birthday. It's been really fun. I'm gonna be honest with you. When we first met you, you have no idea how many managers would come in or trainers and would say, "This guy's special. Can we get him on?" But when we met you, was the first time was at the MGM Grand. We just believed it. Like everything you said, you knew what you were going to do. You told it to us and you actually did it. And we were so proud to be a part of your journey as well.
Yeah, well, we ain't done yet. I think I've now, been put in a position now. This is the number one contender fight, so I still believe UFC gold and the number one next to my name, or actually the C next to my name, is going to happen in 2025. So I go through Charles Oliveira in November, and then Islam, I believe it's going to be in 2025, and then we did it, boys. We did it.
Let me ask you a little bit about that. Like, so that fight now finally coming to fruition. Obviously, the name Connor for so long, but could you almost say this fight's maybe even more personal just because I know that really sunk in with you and it seems like you really want to get that back. Could you almost say this fight's even more personal than what the Connor fight could have been?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Connor process just started, and then we were kind of in it. And once you're in it, you're like, hey, when are we going to bounce, or are we going to stick around? How long are we going to stick around? I mean, you do the Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, you just had Chael on. Chael claims, and I believe it's true, the Ultimate Fighter on ESPN for 12 weeks is the greatest promotional vehicle that you can have in the sport of mixed martial arts. So we did that. Once we had that, then it's like, okay, now we're looking at a date, obviously. So it was just part of the process. We got a fight booked. He pulls out of the fight. And then at some point, I'm just like, hey, man, boys, I want this fight. I want to fight Connor. I'm excited to fight Connor. I believe in myself to beat Connor. I want everything that comes with it. But also, it's time for me to get back in there. I owe it to myself, my fans, my family. And I wasn't willing to wait anymore. And Charles Oliveira is the perfect opponent. Number one contender fight, 5 rounds, co-main event, Madison Square Garden under John Jones and Stipe. It's huge. It's a huge opportunity. And it's honestly, it keeps going through my mind. This is the way it was always supposed to be, right? This is the way it was always supposed to be. I was supposed to lose to Charles in the first time I got the chance to fight for UFC gold, only to beat him in the rematch, beat him to become the number one contender, and then go beat possibly widely regarded as the best lightweight on the planet, or definitely the best lightweight on the planet, but one of the greatest of all time already in Islam. And I believe that's what's going to happen.
This matchup against Oliveira is very intriguing because, like you said, he's a former champ. You guys have fought before, but this could possibly be the path that gets you to the title shot. At least it's sounding that way. But I don't know if you heard recently, Connor still has you on his mind. He says he wants you to fight out there. He hopes you have a good fight, but he says he's still throwing your name out there. So for anyone that thinks you were kind of attached to him, he seems to be kind of attached to you too. I don't know if it's respect or the fact that he knows that this is just a collision that will be fun to see, and I'm sure be a part of if you're one of you two. But what did you think about that when he said that?
Yeah, no. See, the funny thing is, obviously, you guys, we know each other personally. We also know each other professionally. You guys are in the MMA media. I'm a fighter. You guys get, just like Burt said, you guys have interviewed thousands and done thousands and thousands of interviews with all these different fighters, right? And I've gotten flack for saying it. I've always looked at Connor with a ton of respect. I do believe he is romantic about the sport. I do believe he loves the sport. I do believe that he is a purist at heart. And yes, you give a man a couple $100 million and you sell a whiskey and you put him on a huge platform and a huge pedestal and you put him on freaking yachts. Things are going to be said. He's going to look a certain way, but when it all gets boiled down, he's still just a fighter at heart. And I believe the respect that he has for the sport, the love and adoration he has for the UFC, because he is not Conor McGregor without the UFC. And then also him being a man of his word. He signed on a dotted line, Michael Chandler, June 29th at 170 pounds at T-Mobile Arena. He signed a contract. So for as much flack as the guy gets, you still got to give the guy respect. I do believe that he likes the fight. I do believe he and I have some unfinished business. Obviously, there's never been a time that the Ultimate Fighter didn't culminate with the fighters or the coaches fighting each other, except for when it was Uriah Faber and Connor, and they were two different weight classes. So I think it's a fight that he wants. It's obviously the fight that I want. I just, as I said, Conor McGregor is not my next opponent, but I am Conor McGregor's next opponent, and I do believe I beat Charles Oliveira November 16th, and we're going to have some options. Options to go fight Islam for the title. Options to fight Conor if he's got his house in order and it's time for him to come back. Max Holloway for the BMF belt. There's going to be a lot of opportunities and a lot of options, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a big 2025 for the boy.
That is quite a run of names, man. I hope you can get to all four. You definitely lead a clean lifestyle. You always keep yourself in shape. And look, there's always a positive that comes out of a negative. Yeah, you didn't fight for 2 years, but it's also not wear and tear that you took for the last 2 years. And yet, look, that it is possible that you have a path to the title. It all starts in New York City, right? Through the former champ Oliveira. He's still on, you're still on his mind in McGregor. He really, really said it with a lot of respect. And I thought that validated what you had just said. He may not be my next fight, but I'll be his next fight. I know you took a lot of flack for that. And then all of a sudden McGregor says your name. So I thought that was pretty cool that he validated it. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I can't wait, Michael. Peel all these fights off. Your fights are prime time fights. Are we entertained? Hell yeah, we're always entertained. I remember you said that one time coming out of the octagon, and we've been always entertained ever since Bellator. Back in those days, those wars against Alvarez, man, those were fucking legendary. So just keep doing your thing and keep being a good person like you've always been.
You got it, man. Thank you guys, and congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And congratulations on everything. You guys make this sport a better place. So appreciate y'all.
Hey, Michael, can I leave you with one thing? Just because you tell the future, like I said, when we first met you, you told us exactly what you're going to do. When we speak 1 year to this day, what are we talking about?
We're talking about how I won the UFC title. We're talking about how we want results way quicker than sometimes we need to have them actually come to us. You might be the right person, it just might not be the right time. And I don't believe I believe I'm the right person, but it wasn't the right time for me to win the title. And I do believe the long game is where the real strides are made. So it's going to take me 17 years of hand-to-hand combat at 39 years old to win the UFC title. And that is going to be a testament and a blueprint to just keep on going, because I might be a big shot, but I was just a little shot that wouldn't stop shooting.
Love it.
Hey, and one last thing. Stop wearing your shorts so high. You make me feel so emasculated. I got 0 quads, and you got these quads that go for days. Go to the Michigan team from the 90s, the basketball team that was baggy and down to their knees. Every time he does that, I'm like, oh my God, I look at my legs. I'm like, look at this bullshit. This bullshit I'm riding on. And this no wonder he can do them backflips.
Short shorts are my thing, man. It's just always gonna be my thing. They're less restricting. I got more movement. I got more mobility. So I got to keep the short shorts going.
All right, man. Take care. We'll see you. Say hi to your family, all right? All right.
See y'all. Yes, sir. You too.
Take care. All right, man. Michael Chandler, we had to get him on Goze. He's literally been part of the journey for a long time, because it was 2010 after the Maynard Edgar fight, the one that remember Maynard, I think, had a 10-7, literally had Edgar on his deathbed. That's, I believe, the night we met him, because it was the same management that managed Maynard. Same guy manages Michael Chandler, and that is Randall Allman and Dave Martin. All right, sorry?
That was the text in the morning when at the beginning of the show I said, take this right now.
I believe we have a few more guests. It's hard to schedule a show like this, folks, so thank you all for being patient. Is Simon Samano going to join us, guys? He's our managing editor. There he is. He's my compadre when it comes to the 49ers. He's my enemy when it comes to baseball, because he's a Giants fan and I'm a Dodgers fan, but another all-around good guy, hard worker, great contributor to the sport. Learned a lot from you. How you doing, Simon?
The volume. I think you're on mute.
I'm doing great, but how the hell do I follow up Michael Chandler, man?
Well, like I told the guys, and if Matt Erickson or Matt Wells or anybody else tuned in or whatever, I would love for them to jump in and just, even if we went an extra 10, 15 minutes, we're nothing without you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, just like when Nolan, right, says if he were to ever win that award, and folks, you only have a few more days for the World MMA Awards, It'd be nice to get you to go to worldmmaawards.com and put a vote in for Junkie for best media source, Nolan King for best journalist. You know, Bohn's been nominated as well, and they always say it's not just a win for me, it's a win for the team. And this milestone for us, I think, you know, we feel like it's a big accomplishment for the site. And like I say, there's a lot of cohesion and synergy, the way content works here. So I feel like you guys are a part of our success too.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, we're you know, we're a team. You know, at the end of the day, we're a team, and we have an awesome team. But you guys, you know, that's everyone's names right there. You guys, man, you guys are synonymous with MMA Junkie. I mean, when you think MMA Junkie, they're gonna think of George and Goze. That's what we think of, man. I mean, you guys, you know, you guys have been here from the very start. You know, before even USA Today even got involved, right, and bought the website. So you guys are such a big part of Junkie. You guys are Junkie. You're like the heart of Junkie basically at this point, man. And I mean, I appreciate you guys so much, just so you guys know.
Us too. You know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's amazing to be able to go to work, and if you think of just even the most craziest idea, you can throw it to your boss and he will sit there and he will listen to every second of it. And you'd be surprised how many times he says yes compared to no. But I mean, just being able to have that flexibility to do that, it really feels amazing, and we're thankful to have you at the helm.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, that's just like I said. I'm always going to be open to ideas, right? And us doing new stuff and seeing and making sure that we're you know, that we're catering to our audience, you know, on all of our platforms, man. And you guys, yeah, you guys do come at me with ideas, and you know, it's been awesome working with you guys. I mean, you guys from the very beginning, when I first started with MMA Junkie, which would have been the week of UFC 208 back in February of 2017. That's when I first started. You guys from the very first reached out to me, made me feel welcomed. Like, that's the thing that I hope people realize about you guys. You guys are a podcast host, but man, you've heard everybody talk about you guys, you know, for the past couple of hours. So grateful to you guys. You guys are good dudes. And I knew that right from the beginning with the way that you guys embraced me on this team. And I think it had been a while at that point since Junkie had someone new, you know, join. And so, yeah, man, like I'm just so appreciative to you guys. You know, you guys have been awesome.
Thank you. And we mentioned ideas. Are we going to be able to do that one cool idea that we talked about the other day? That was fun. If that happens,
idea is coming soon, man. It is coming soon. We've got something coming down the pipe, brand new with MMA Junkie. Goze got a little test run with me the other day, last week. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun, man. You know, we're still ironing out some things, but for the folks listening right now and the folks who watch this, just know that something new is coming to MMA Junkie real soon. It'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll be on the website. It may even be on the podcast platforms. We'll see. But cool. Yeah, man, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Well, what kind of hints can you give us? I guess anything. I mean, I don't know. Or is this really still
Goze will understand this with the hint, but I'll just tell you right now that it is the greatest MMA show of all time.
All right.
Goze gets that. Goze gets it, and for anybody who just heard me say that, you'll get it once we premiere this new thing. So it's gonna be cool.
Did you tune into a lot of the show? What did you think, man? It seems like there's some good stuff coming on. Like Jorge Masvidal, my mind's still spinning as to what might be next for him. He's training MMA. He says a tidal wave's gonna hit when his news is announced. So
yeah, I mean, Jorge on was awesome, and hearing him talk about what's coming up. Chael telling that story in Brazil was pretty wild. I thought that was pretty wild.
Guns coming out. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, seriously, that was nuts, man. You know, it's always great to have someone like Burt on, right? Because Burt's OG and he's so near and dear to MMA Junkie. I mean, you know, hearing Chandler. But I gotta tell you, man, I laughed for about 15 minutes straight once I heard Noche de los Muertos from Joey Diaz.
Yeah.
That got me, dude. That got me in tears for a while. So I'm glad I didn't come on right after him, dude, because I was busting up when he dropped the Noche de los Muertos.
Yeah, that was funny, man. We got to get him to get his camera working.
Yeah, but hey, I've taken up enough time. I know we got some other guests, so congratulations to you guys. I'm proud of you guys. I'm happy to work with you guys all the time. Goze, happy belated birthday to you from Monday, man. George, happy birthday to you today.
Thank you.
It's going to be awesome, man. 3,500 shows, man. Longevity in this game. What an accomplishment, And so I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to being around, hopefully, for another 3,500. Let's keep it going, baby.
Let's go. All right. Well, thank you so much for everything. Your support, your friendship means a lot, and thanks for hopping in on the 3500 show. All right. I believe we might have one or two guests left, but I just want to tell you all, if you joined in halfway or whatever, we started, like as the clock says there, I think they can see it, about 2.5 hours ago. So I'm going to thank them now, and then that way, depending on how the show ends, I just don't forget it, right? We've had Frank Trigg, Ben Rothwell, Randy Couture, Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Melendez, Joey Diaz, Johny Hendricks, Eric Nicksick, Megan Olivi, Chael Sonnen, Burt Watson, and Michael Chandler. And did I miss anybody, guys?
I don't think so.
I hope I didn't. And then, of course, our colleagues, Nolan King stopped by, Mike Bohn, and that was Simon Samano. Nolan is up for Best Journalist at the World MMA Awards. And when it comes to the World MMA Awards, we've won Best Media Source 5 times, and we're proud of all those. But it's been a while since we've been able to knock that one down. So the voting ends on September 30th, and we've kind of been telling you all for a while now, hey, we're about a month away, 2 weeks away. Well, folks, we're 4 days away. So if you can go to World MMA Awards and vote, there's 23 categories there. You don't have to do them all if you feel like you're overwhelmed, because a lot of people, you might be like me, like, hey, I want to get it right. I want to get the right award to the right person. Because, see, the way it works is it's for all the competition that's taken place. I'm primarily talking about the fighters here, right? But anything that's taken place from July 1st of 2023 to June 30th of 2024. So if you want to say like Pajeda or Islam or whoever, you got to always make sure that someone's fight, made that cut of the year that they've provided. Ours is different. Just, do you enjoy our content? Do you go to our website? Hey, we'll take your vote. Nolan King, this guy does a great job, man. He breaks news. He recaps MMA Junkie interviews, and he's got a real good hold on the stuff that happens when it comes to the legal side of mixed martial arts. He's been following that Cain Velasquez story pretty well. And he also branches out and does projects with like the fight nerds. He had a little special, I shouldn't say little, he had a special on them, a nice extended story on the history of that group. So give him a vote too. He's up for Best Journalist. All right. So Rashad Evans is our next guest, and he is a former UFC light heavyweight champion. He is an NC2A All-American when he wrestled, and now he does some commentating for the UFC. What's up, Shad? How are you, man? Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Maybe you're muted.
There you go. Technology. I got you. What's going on, man? How you guys doing, man?
We're doing great. Enjoying this run that we've been on for 3,500 shows, 17 and a half years. But, we're nothing without guys like yourself, people that gave us time, trusted us that we could maybe put out a story about you, something that people didn't know or whatever, as well as promoting your upcoming fight. And that's who we wanted to share with, was OGs like yourself. And so thank you for hopping on with us.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me, man. I'm sorry, my little boy in the background is getting get a little restless, but no problem, man. I feel like it's platforms like yours that really does a good job of letting people see that we're more than just fighters, and giving us more than just the 5 minutes that we get in front of the camera at times, that people see us before we step onto the octagon. It's your shows like this that, with the platform and the stage, that truly adds a complexion and a more complete picture of the fighters that actually step to the cage.
Rashad, I want to ask you a question that I asked Randy Couture earlier, and not to name drop or anything like that. Sean Connery told me that wasn't cool. But do you feel like the newer fighters, right? Because now you cover them as an analyst. Have they taken the baton from you guys, and have they lived up to what you guys did, which was you guys helped grow the sport, validate the sport? It's not human cockfighting. It's legit. Good people get out there and play high-speed human chess. What about this younger generation that makes a little bit more coin, right? And are, you know, they have these PIs or whatever. Are you proud of them, or could they be doing better? Or what would you say about the younger generation?
I'm proud of them, but there is a disconnect, and I'll see that disconnect is just, you know, our mindset of where we were at when we were trying to make the sport what it was. You know, for us, we never knew how long the sport was going to be around. You know, we were always just, you know, waiting for the other boot to drop. We never knew the popularity that it was going to really catch fire with. I think that now the new generation now, they understand the stability and what this platform brings as far as the UFC, but they also understand that, you know, they lean into the entertainment part of it a lot, and lean into the entertainment portion of it a lot. It kind of does take away from what made us what we are, because what made us what we are was really what separated us from every other big sport, which is the time that we spent to get to know the fans. You know, the fact that a fan can walk by and we, you know, they'll see us right before a big fight and they can take pictures and they have that different fan experience. I don't quite see that these athletes nowadays are exposed to the fans like how we were in the upcoming other UFC, where we had those fan expos where we sat there for hours and hours taking pictures and things like that. These athletes nowadays, they don't have that, and I think with not having that, a culture of getting to the fans is not there like how it was when I was there.
And Rashad, so this career, you know, when we were kids and they would go around the room in school and go, what do you want to be? You know, fireman, lawyer, that type of stuff. Nobody says MMA. Now you can do that. That trips me out. Along the way on your journey, have there been a lot of I told you so's? Were there a lot of people that said, you're ruining your life, don't do this? Have you thrown out a lot of I told you so's to people?
Yeah, you know, but you know, I have, but in a subtle way. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of feel like the I told you so was truly my success. You know, and where they can see that I'm at. But I feel like, you know, there was a lot of people when I first got out the Ultimate Fighter show. You know, I had people being like, okay, so now you've done the Ultimate Fighter show. Like, what are you going to do for a job? You know, what are you going to do now for the rest? You know, what kind of job are you going to get into now? And they didn't really understand, you know, what that moment meant and what that really meant, having that opportunity to have that contract like that with the UFC and be able to get on the stage and to become what I was able to become. But, you know, there are a lot of I told you so, but it's just more or less like, look at me now, you know?
Mm-hmm. And Rashad, if you were to, let's just say, lean back, close your eyes, and take yourself back to being in the cage, what moment do you always go right back to? What's the freshest thing you see?
You know, it's always, it's never even about the fight. It's more or less just about the feel and the smell of being in that cage. You know, usually I'll be the last fight of the night, and I'll get into the cage and I'll look in the cage and I'll see the canvas, and the canvas by that time is, you know, it's like an artist, you know, a canvas where it's just got blood and all kinds of, you know, to tell the story of the night, right? And you know, I'll find my spot. I'll do a lap around the cage, and then I'll look around and I'll see, you know, all the things that happened where somebody got their head busted open and whatnot. And I remember thinking like, oh yeah, it's about to get real, you know. So there's always that feeling of just right before the fight starts that I miss and I remember most, because that was the moment where, you know, Rashad Evans, who you're talking to now, and Sugar Rashad Evans kicked in. You know, there was a true transition in mindset that happened when I was right there getting ready to fight, right before the referee and right before the camera people left out of the cage.
Nice. What fight, I guess, it's probably going to be the title win. But after that, what other win do you remember that you hold special? You and Quinton had a rivalry.
Yeah.
Man, what you did to Liddell, and I think it was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I always talk about there is, you know, you hear it in pro wrestling. It's so deafening in here. You know, the silence is deafening in here. It's like this vacuum. You connect on the jaw, and then everybody's going gasping because they can't believe what they witnessed. And then obviously there's a roar from the ones that were with you, bet on you, or just they're cheering in general. And then probably the people that are like, oh, you know, because that's my other guy. That's my guy that just got knocked out. What is that feeling like? That one moment, you being in that vacuum or whatever it is.
You know, it's an unbelievable moment. It's a surreal moment. It's almost, hard to believe. I remember being inside of that moment and just getting a glimpse of the crowd around me and just seeing everybody's mouth just open to the floor. And I was just like, that's when I started the Fred Sanford, I'm coming. It's a big one, Elizabeth. That's when my heart stopped, because you just never knew what was going to happen inside of a fight, and being a spectator and being a part of that so many times, but then being on the other end where I was the one who caused that kind of heart stopping moment. It's an experience that lives with you forever, because it's one, when you're in that moment, it is like, time slows down and every single second seems so much longer. And it's one that I will always remember for the rest of my life, just because of, just everything, every single aspect of it. It was just, it was really the first time that I stepped into myself as a competitor the way that I did. And that right there really outlined, me, who I was as a fighter and who I was yet to become.
When you fought those legends, were you also trying to break through on behalf of the Ultimate Fighter? Because it seemed like the Ultimate Fighter was like, yeah, one of these guys is going to be good or whatever. It's a reality show, but the coaches, right, and the legends or whatever. And then eventually a lot of you guys became world champions. But I remember when the matchups were made, it was like, they ain't your time yet, kid. You know what I mean? Because the legends just they were the legends because they weren't really losing. So were you kind of carrying a little bit of a chip on your shoulder?
I was, I was carrying a chip on my shoulders because I realized, being an Ultimate Fighter champion, I kind of leapfrogged past a lot of people who put in work in the UFC to help build it up to that point. And there was a lot of animosity. They weren't really shy about really showing it either. So I felt like I had a lot to prove, because these guys were looking to show that we weren't what the people thought we were. So every single fight that I had, I knew that I had to bring it at a different level, because of that was the target on my back. But I was honestly just trying to chase Forrest. With Forrest's success and everything that he was doing, I was like, man, I think I'm better than Forrest, so I got to be able to at least copy his success or surpass his success. So I just kept on chasing Forrest.
Man, those are some great times, and the sport continues, and a lot of it has to do with the guys like yourself and some of our other guests today that have paved the way, for the sport to become like one of the bigger sports out there. Now on ESPN, incredible. First it was fighting to stay on Spike in those early seasons, kept it there, and now look at you guys. But Rashad, you reached the pinnacle of it all, so congrats for that. It's never forgotten. The Ultimate Fighter. I'm glad that you're still commentating and adding to these broadcasts, and thanks for doing our 3500 show, man, and being part of our journey as well.
Oh man, no problem, man. I still when it comes to the fight game, and one thing I'll always remember, these are the moments that really stuck out to me. And when I say these are the moments, I'm talking about, doing your interviews at the MGM or wherever we were at, and making sure that really encompassing and really doing the whole production of what it means to be in a big fight. When it was a big fight, I was going on the show, and I'll never forget, because that helped me through the process of really what it means to step into the cage on fight night on Saturday and perform the way I did, because it's all about being able to enjoy every aspect of the fight. And the fight, every aspect of the fight, isn't just when I step into the cage and fight on that night of the fight. It's everything leading up to it, because now those are the memories that I cherish the most. I miss the whole production of it. When I miss fighting, it's not so much of the minutes in the cage that I miss, as much as the build up to the fight, where the fight really was with me, harnessing my mindset, harnessing that internal fortitude, and really believing in the training to make sure I can go out there and do it on Saturday night. So my hat's off to you guys. And when you hit me up yesterday and asked me to do this, I was like, absolutely, because I don't forget that, and I don't forget, how you guys were to me, and how you guys understand fighters to the point where, no matter what happens, you guys don't pick a fighter during season. You know what I'm saying? You guys are always, giving some good advice, but at the same time, you're making sure that that the fighters have the respect that we deserve.
Thank you.
Well,
We
thank you.
appreciate
That means a lot, man. And I'm glad you were a part of it. And hopefully, obviously, it ain't the last time. Let's preview some fights in the future.
Absolutely.
And you can always tell us what you got going on. I mean, one day I'd like to see you write a book or just be part of these documentaries and everything
Yeah.
that's out there. Because you mixed it up with some of the best in the business and you accomplished a lot. So that's why you're a legend, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right, take care, Rashad. We'll talk
All
to you
right.
soon.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Later. All right, Goze. That I believe was our final guest. We had a couple that weren't able to make it. We had some time mix-ups or whatever, but there is one that I want to include. He gave us a shout out, and I think I'm just gonna play it on my phone if that's okay, because I thought I forwarded it to our the right link to you and Abby to include. And it looks like I didn't. And right now, honestly, I wouldn't know where to begin the download and everything. So I'm just gonna play it for you guys if that's cool, because it's got to be included.
All right.
You down?
Sure.
All right. This comes from an old friend of ours, Goze. So let me reset it here. I'm gonna get the volume up because I had to turn so many volumes down now, man.
Close
Here we
point
go.
up.
Hey George, hey Goze, it's the voice Michael Schiavello. Just wanted to say a big congratulations on the massive milestone today for MMA Junkie Radio. And I can't believe you guys have gotten this far. Actually, you know what? I can, because you are both so talented. You've done so much for the mixed martial arts community. And I was so proud to be just a small part of your massive, incredible achievements, your massive, monumental history. Congratulations once again. I hope one more time I can come back to Las Vegas in the future and be on MMA Junkie Radio again. But from myself and all your fans around the world, particularly down here in Australia, a big congratulations Goze and Gorgeous George on a massive achievement.
Ooh, that was beautiful, man. I love that guy. Our old trivia partner. He's an awesome
We used
guy.
to go to a bar here in Las Vegas, and we had this little trivia team, and Schiavello, who lived here for 10 years, and a lot of you may remember him, some might not, but he's one of the best play-by-play commentators in any combat sport. This guy can do Muay Thai, MMA, pretty much anything you assign him to, he can do it, and he's very, very great and passionate. I know you guys have heard his voice, most recently with one championship, but when he lived here, he was doing LFA, along with Frank Trigg, along with Pat Miletich. And so, yeah, he was a Vegas resident. He'd come to the studio a lot. So I definitely miss him. Now he lives in Melbourne, Australia. And but he's got great stories. In fact, doesn't he have one where he hates Maradona because Maradona was an asshole or something like that to him at a World Cup?
Something like that. Yeah, he's got tremendous stories, man. Some that he can't talk about, which are even better. But yeah, he's just done so much in his career. He's always a good guy, man. He's just an awesome individual. I love that guy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, listen, I'm gonna blast through some comments here. I just got one, a really, really nice one. Northern Lights from Humboldt. Him and his wife Kendra, they were definitely a huge part of our show in terms of support. Because they became great friends. And Goze, do you remember one time when they hustled up and down California and got actual people on video to say nice things about, I think it was our 2500 show? Man, dude, not many people are that kind to do stuff like that. And that's why they're always special to me. So I'm going to send
that was the second time I've ever been surprised.
Yeah, no, that was simply amazing. So I want to give him a shout out. And then I saw a few comments, and I'm going to try and scroll through as many as I can because I saw a lot of names, but we are still trying to coordinate things here. Aubrey J, Buffalo Blue, Billy 247. Those last two have probably listened to almost every show we've ever had. Daniel Hauer from Austria. That's Howie D, Jacob Cruz, MMA events vlog. I've seen him a lot lately. Excuse me. Jay Lack. That's Jay Lackey. That's Jason Lackey, the guy that Gilbert Melendez was talking about. Well, we kind of scared the shit out of him because we told Jorge Masvidal, this is the guy that reached out for your hat and you lunged at him or whatever. That's him. So he's notorious, and he's also a 49ers fan. Green bandana, filming around me. Don Piccolo, Joe from H-Town, Charlie Effin Bronson, Sky Vison El Daddy. He was asking the last question I was going to ask Megan. What broadcast was she on? Just follow her on social media. She does a good job of promoting. Last week she was with the Giants and Cleveland, so she pretty much gets selected to go to any of these shows. But it'll always be involving an NFC team because she works for Fox. Beastman Juan Lee was another name I saw. Goes Juan Lee. He used to come to the house and watch fights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that
now,
name that George said earlier, Aubrey, she was actually there for our very first show.
Yeah, he was in charge of bringing a case of water. I would always order the pizzas from Round Table, and other people would bring, Cokes or beers or whatever. And Juan Lee's job was to bring the water. And now he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So like he literally loved the sport so much he wanted to learn more about it. I wanted to be there for John Rico when he got his black belt. But I guess they kind of surprised him. I don't know. But I'd love to be there for Juan Lee's. I would make the trip to California for that. Watch him post in the chat that he's already done it. Where you been, George? I got it like 3 months ago. Let me see here. A few more. Dan Stupp popped in. He's the founder of MMA Junkie. Man, that means a lot. Dan, thank you so much. Yeah, he gave us a lifeline when we were kind of fizzling out as Tag Radio because the site used to be called UFC Junkie, and we were originally Tag Radio, and so we were doing recaps for UFC Junkie, which became MMA Junkie. So we've actually been with MMA Junkie so long that it was UFC Junkie at one point, and then eventually when Tag Radio was gonna basically go away, it was Dan that gave us a lifeline. So thank you, Dan, for popping in and saying that. Lackluster MMA, Sky V's and El Daddy. He's in the weekly Spinning Back Click show. That's our show that we do every Monday live here on YouTube and on Facebook. Catch it. You'll love it. It's us and our colleagues chopping up the latest MMA news, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific normal start time during Dana White Contender Series, which is only like a few weeks left. We're doing 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them, but you all mean a lot to us. We will read them all. And hopefully we made a fan of you if this is your first time. And you can catch us podcast-wise. You can catch us at Omni, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts at. And then Spinning Back Click, you can catch us live every Monday here on the YouTube channel. On your way out, if you'd be kind enough to hit the like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you don't forget, hopefully you got 4 days to get to the World MMA Awards and vote for Best Media Source and Best Journalist. And that's MMA Junkie and Nolan King, respectively. We'd greatly appreciate that. Goze, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, thank you to everybody for their support. Fighters, promoters, fans, everyone. Even the people in our personal lives, our girlfriends, our mother, our father, our family members. Happy birthday, George, and thank you for putting together such an awesome show. This lineup was insane and so much fun to talk to all these people. And thank you to Abbey Subhan, who was in the background there. He kind of got pitched an extra hour there at the end, but I hope it was all worth it and just the ideas.
Abbey, pop on. Come
get
on,
on
man.
here,
For my
man.
birthday, for our 3500th episode. Was he ever with us when we were at Mandalay Bay? Put on your boxers and come on, Abbey. Come on.
He's putting on a shirt right now. Some underwear.
Taking his belly button ring off. Okay, there he is. Got to show up. That's Abbey Subhan. That's Kamikaze. He's the one that does the cool ass graphic art. He's the one that has been producing the show longer than he signed up for. He's probably hungry and he's probably sleepy. But yeah, Abbey, thank you for doing this. And thanks for being such a great teammate and a great friend and all the support you've given us. Like I say, the graphic art, not only in Spinning Back Click, here, everything, man, means the world to us.
You're welcome.
There you go.
All right. So let's just end the show and get on out of here. And folks, go out. Don't just take up space on this planet. Go out and be a champion. We'll talk to you soon.